Chapter 510. Qin Haodong said, "To tell you the truth, I like the building opposite Shui's jewelry. Give it to me and I'll cure your illness." Sun Qianqian cried, "That's impossible. That building is worth at least 500 million yuan. How can I give it to you? This is robbery." Qin Haodong said, "Even if it's robbery, you can't blame others. Originally, I wanted to have a good talk with your Sun family, but you brought people to steal my medicine, so you can't blame me for robbing your building." Sun Qianqian gritted her teeth and said, "Qin, let me tell you, you can't be too greedy. I can give you some money, but you can't take the building. When you took 3 breast enhancement and body shaping pills from me, did you ever think that you were too greedy?" Qin Haodong said lightly, "I don't want money. I just want your building. Okay, tell me where you are. I'll sign the agreement with you now." On the other side of the phone, Sun Qianqian was so angry that her eyes were spitting fire. She wanted to kill Qin Haodong immediately. "Hurry up. I'm very busy. I'll only give you 10 minutes. After hanging up the phone, Qin Haodong sent his address to Sun Qianqian. About 7 or 8 minutes later, 10 off-road vehicles sped over and surrounded Qin Haodong with a shrill braking sound. After the cars stopped, 20 or 30 people jumped out. The leader was Sun Qianqian, and the bald bodyguard was next to her. Qin Haodong glanced at Sun Qianqian's chest and almost laughed. The woman's right chest was a few sizes bigger than yesterday and looked particularly eye-catching. At the moment, her left side was also bulging. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a balloon filled with water. No one knew how she came up with this idea. Under the cover of the coat, it would be hard to find if one did not look carefully. However, this way, Sun Qianqian did everything carefully, for fear of breaking the water balloon on the left side. After getting out of the car, the bald bodyguard immediately took out a short knife and pressed it against Qin Haodong's neck. He said fiercely, "Boy, how dare you trick our miss? Hand over the medicine quickly." As the head of Sun Qianqian's bodyguards, he more or less knew something. Qin Haodong glanced at him as if he didn't see the knife. He smiled faintly and said, "What if I don't hand it over? If you don't hand it over, I'll kill you immediately. In Shanghai, killing someone from our Sun family is no different from killing an ant." "So powerful?" Qin Haodong laughed and said, "Kill me if you can. Let me tell you, as long as you hurt a strand of my hair, your lady's illness will never be cured, or it may even get worse. You are courting death." The bald bodyguard's eyes were fierce, and he was about to kill Qin Haodong. He was not afraid, but Sun Qianqian was afraid of Qin Haodong's threat. If this guy made her right breast grow a few more sizes, she would be completely crippled. "Sun Wei, come back here." After calling the bald bodyguard back, she stepped forward and said, "Qin Haodong, can you really cure my disease?" "That's right. Let's talk things out." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Others can't cure it, but it's very simple for me. As long as I want to, I can cure it in minutes." Sun Qianqian said, "How can I believe you?" Qin Haodong took out a small jade bottle from his pocket and opened the lid. There were 3 red breast enhancement and body shaping elixirs inside. "It seems that your Sun family's intelligence system is not in place. You didn't find out that my breast enhancement and body shaping elixirs were originally a pair, with the red one on the left and the black one on the right. You snatched 3 black ones at once, so it became like this. It's very easy to change this situation. Take these 3 red ones within 24 hours. Not only will they cure your disease, but they will also fulfill your wish of breast enhancement." Sun Qianqian's eyes lit up. Only then did she understand what her problem was. Then, her expression changed and she shouted to the bodyguard behind her, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and snatch it for me." Sun Wei was already prepared. After hearing the order, he rushed forward with his people and surrounded Qin Haodong. "Kid, hand over the medicine." Sun Wei's skills were also good. He reached out to grab the small jade bottle in Qin Haodong's hand. However, he didn't manage to grab anything. Then, he felt a pain in his head. Qin Haodong had hit his bald head with a cannon. The hit was loud and clear. It was full of strength. A big red and purple bump immediately appeared in the middle of Sun Wei's forehead. It looked like a unicorn. "How dare you hit me?" Sun Wei was shocked and angry. He thought that this young man would be as weak and easy to bully as he was yesterday. He didn't expect that it was just Qin Haodong's disguise. His purpose was to trick Sun Qianqian. "What the f***ck are you waiting for? Let's go together and cripple him." Sun Wei roared at the bodyguards behind him. The bodyguards came to their senses and rushed towards Qin Haodong together. However, strength and quantity were not proportional most of the time. These bodyguards were eager to make a contribution in front of their master. However, they soon realized how pitiful they were. The person in front of them was not a weak and easy to bully, but an extremely fierce tiger. In less than 2 minutes, more than 20 bodyguards were all knocked to the ground. They wailed and screamed. The one who suffered the most was the leader, Sun Wei. At that moment, his bald head was covered with big green and purple bumps. He had turned from a unicorn to a Sakyamuni. Qin Haodong grabbed his collar and patted his face. He smiled and said, "How is it? Are you satisfied with this hairstyle? You're actually a martial artist." Although Sun Wei hadn't even entered the ranks of obvious strength, the Sun family, as one of the 3 big families in Shanghai, had always been famous for their martial arts. There were many martial arts masters in the family. He had never eaten fat pork, but he had seen fat pigs run. He could immediately tell that Qin Haodong was also a martial arts master. "You're right. Not only am I a martial artist, but I'm also very powerful. Remember not to cause trouble for me in the future." Qin Haodong kicked Sun Wei away and turned his head to look at Sun Qianqian. "How dare you lie to me? Where's the basic integrity of a person? Where's the trust between people? We agreed to sign a contract, but you brought people to steal my medicine. How do you think I should punish you?" Sun Qianqian had never dreamed that Qin Haodong would be so fierce. He had actually taken care of so many bodyguards in the blink of an eye. Without the support of her bodyguards, she immediately lost her confidence. She took 2 steps back and shouted fiercely, "I'm telling you, don't mess around. I'm the second daughter of the Sun family. Of course I know you're the second daughter of the Sun family. That's why I want that building." Sun Qianqian said, "It's impossible for me to get the building. I can give you money. I'll give you 100 million yuan according to the price you said, as long as you give me the red pills in your hand." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Now you want to pay, but that was yesterday's price. The price has increased today. 1 pill is 1 billion yuan, and 3 pills are 3 billion yuan. Do you still want to buy it?" You're robbing, it's you who's robbing me, Miss Sunday. You robbed me yesterday, and today you're robbing me again. I never suffer losses. Since you robbed me, I'll naturally rob you. Qin Haodong smiled, shook the small jade bottle in his hand and said, "Miss Sun, a friendly reminder. It's better to exchange the building for it. It's more cost-effective." "No. This is absolutely not possible." Although Sun Qianqian was also the 3rd generation of the Sun family, she was in charge of some projects, including that building. However, she did not have the status of Zhou Xinju in the Zhou family. If she took out that building to exchange for breast enhancement medicine and the old man of the Sun family found out, she would inevitably be severely punished. It's up to you whether you can or not. I've never forced people. However, you brought people to make trouble for me today, which made me very unhappy, so I have to punish you. As Qin Haodong spoke, a shiny silver needle appeared in his hand. What are you doing? I'm telling you, don't mess around. I'm the second daughter of the Sun family. Before Sun Qianqian could finish her threat, there was a popping sound. The water ball that was placed on the left side of her chest to find balance was pierced by the silver needle. The water inside immediately spilled out, wetting the clothes on her chest. After the water ball broke, both sides of Sun Qianqian's chest immediately lost balance. One side was high, while the other side was flat and low. Coupled with the fact that her wet clothes were clinging to her chest, the scene looked even clearer and even more ridiculous. Qin Haodong, I'm going to kill you. Sun Qianqian roared crazily. Qin Haodong smiled slightly, it doesn't matter if you want to kill me. There are many people who want to kill me, but I'm still alive. However, I need to remind you that this medicine is only effective within 24 hours. If it exceeds 24 hours, it will be useless even if you take it. You can only be like this for the rest of your life. By the way, the time starts from the moment you took the black pill last night. After that, he left, leaving behind the battered Sun Qianqian and the bodyguards wailing on the ground. Sun Qianqian gritted her teeth in hatred. However, her current image was indeed not suitable for her to stay outside for too long. She took the head bodyguard, Sun Wei, and quickly drove back to the Sun family. After returning to the room, Sun Wei said bitterly, "Second miss, we can't just let it go like this." As he spoke, he habitually raised his hand to wipe his bald head. However, he suddenly touched a big bump on his head, causing him to grimace in pain. Sun Qianqian changed her clothes and took a towel to cover her chest. She said with a gloomy face, "Of course we can't just let it go like this. However, this kid is much more difficult to deal with than we thought. We need to think of some ways. Second miss, it's actually easy. Although this guy is a martial artist, no matter how powerful he is, can he be more powerful than a gun? I'll bring a few brothers with me now and take a gun. When the time comes, we'll teach him a lesson." China's gun control was very strict. Only a small number of people had guns. The Sun family was obviously part of this small number of people. However, they rarely used them and would only take them out under special circumstances. Sun Qianqian hesitated for a moment and looked at her deformed chest. She thought of Qin Haodong's 24-hour warning and finally made a decision. "Well, you take some people there now. You must be careful and fast. No matter what, you must get that bottle of red pills back for me. Don't worry, Mississippi. I will definitely make that kid kneel in front of you and give you the pills with both hands." Sun Wei had been beaten up like this, so he hated Qin Haodong to the bone. After getting Sun Qianqian's consent, he immediately gathered people and took guns to find Qin Haodong for revenge. After Qin Haodong taught Sun Qianqian a lesson, he went to the crime squad of the East City District. He found the captain's office and pushed the door open. Nalan Wuxia was sitting at her desk, busy with something. When she saw someone come in without knocking, she frowned slightly. When she looked up and saw Qin Haodong, she immediately cried out in surprise, "Why is it you? Why can't it be me?" Qin Haodong said as he walked in front of her. "It's been so many days, and you haven't come to see me. Why are you here today? Did you find your conscience?" "My conscience has always been there." Qin Haodong took her hand and said with a smile, "I'm here today to see a beauty, and I'm here to take shelter. I made a mistake again. I apologize to everyone. The mistake has been corrected. I'll add a chapter today as compensation." Chapter 511. Why did you come here to avoid trouble? Nalan Wuxia glared at him and asked, "Did you mess with other girls again and come to me?" Qin Haodong said with a wronged expression, "Am I that kind of person?" Nalan Wuxia said without hesitation, "Yes." Qin Haodong was about to retort, but after thinking about it carefully, he realized that he had really provoked Sun Qianqian, the evil woman, and then came here. "Well, you're right. I'm here because I've provoked a woman." Nalan Wuxia said discontentedly, You you already have so many women, but you still go out and provoke. Qin Haodong quickly explained, don't worry, this provocation is different from what you think. He took Nalan Wuxia's hand and sat down. Then, he talked about how he had gone to Shanghai to treat Zhou Xinju and how he had just taught Sun Qianqian's men a lesson. In the end, Nalan Wuxia was already convulsing with laughter. You're too mean. My good chest has been ruined by you. She couldn't help but laugh again when she thought of the woman named Sun Qianqian. Qin Haodong said, she took the medicine and took it herself. How can you blame me if something happens to her? Nalan Wuxia laughed enough and said, is the breast enhancement and body shaping elixir really so magical? Eating it can make a woman grow up. Of course, how could the pills I refined be fake? Nalan Wuxia pinched the soft part of his waist. Meat said fiercely, how come I didn't know you had such a good thing? Let go, it hurts. Qin Haodong said quickly, this thing is effective, but not everyone can use it. Nalan Wuxia let go of him and said, why? Does your elixir need to be picky? Medicinal pills are not picky, but your figure is already so good, it's simply perfect. If it were any bigger, not only would it be out of proportion, but it would also affect your temperament. You wouldn't look as pretty as you do now. Every woman liked to listen to compliments, especially when it came from their lover. Nalan Wuxia glanced at her towering chest and said happily, are you serious? You couldn't have lied to me because you couldn't bear to part with the medicinal pills, right? Qin Haodong said, of course it's true. I don't have anything else, but I have plenty of elixirs. If you want, you can eat them as food. You can even eat like a cow. But don't blame me if you're too ugly. You're so annoying. You're the cow. Nalan Wuxia glared at him charmingly and gave up the idea of taking the breast enhancement and body shaping elixir. She said again, what do you want to do? I really won't give the pill to Sun Qianqian. If a woman becomes like that, it's really sad. How can I face others? Qin Haodong said, don't worry. She will definitely give me that building in the end. I've asked around, and the value of that building is about 500 million yuan. These 3 bottles of breast enhancement and body shaping elixir are priceless treasures, and she has gotten a great bargain. Forget it, let's not talk about that. Nalan Wuxia took Qin Haodong's arm and said, tell me, what is our relationship? Am I your woman or not? Qin Haodong sighed. Nalan Wuxia was deeply in love with him. She came to Shanghai for him. How could he refuse? Of course, as long as you're not afraid of being wronged. You have a conscience. Nalan Wuxia put her arms around his neck and kissed him gently on the lips. Then she said faintly, I don't know what I did in my previous life to fall in love with a man like you in this life. Qin Haodong said, it's not that you did bad things. It's that I've done too many good things. That's why God gave me such a good woman like you. The two of them were kissing in the office. Outside the crime squad, Sun Wei, who looked like Sakyamuni, was running around anxiously. Now that it was confirmed that Qin Haodong had entered the crime squad, he was helpless. He couldn't rush into the crime squad with a gun and kidnap Qin Haodong, could he? Even the Sun family couldn't afford the consequences. At that time, the old man of the Sun family would cut off his head and kick it like a ball. Now the only thing he could do was wait outside, wait for Qin Haodong to come out, and then make a move. However, after waiting for 2 hours, there was still no movement. Bastard, what the hell is this kid doing inside? Sun Wei cursed in annoyance. At this time, the cell phone in his pocket rang. How is it? Did you catch him? Sun Qianqian's anxious voice came from the other side of the phone. Sun Wei could wait, but she couldn't. No one could remain calm when looking at their deformed breasts all the time. Moreover, Qin Haodong's warning was constantly ringing in her ears. Once it exceeded 24 hours, it would be incurable. If she had such a chest for the rest of her life, she really wouldn't be able to live. Not yet, As soon as Sun Wei said these 3 words, Sun Qianqian, who was on the other side, flew into a rage and scolded, "Are you *king useless? You brought so many people and so many guns, but you can't even catch a single person. What are you doing?" Sun Wei said with a bitter face, "Second miss, that kid ran into the crime squad and hasn't come out yet. I can't do anything about it. I can't rush into the crime squad to catch him." Sun Qianqian didn't say anything. She really had no solution to this situation. Sun Wei breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Second miss, I suspect that this kid did it on purpose." "Do you still need to suspect it? It's obvious that he did it on purpose. He's just stalling for time." Sun Qianqian vented the anger in her heart again. After hanging up the phone, she knew that this was useless. She had to find a way to get the pill as soon as possible. After hesitating for a moment, she dialed Qin Haodong's cell phone again. Qin Haodong was being intimate with Nalan Wuxia. When he heard the ringtone of his cell phone, he frowned with dissatisfaction, but he still pressed the answer button. "Miss Sun, have you thought about it? You don't have much time left. Qin Haodong, find a place. I'll sign an agreement with you." Sun Qianqian was going to use the same trick again and ask Qin Haodong to come out from the crime squad. As long as there was no police protection, Sun Wei would be able to make a move. "Miss Sun, I'm sorry. There's only one chance. You've already missed it. I don't want to sign any agreement with you now." Sun Qianqian was shocked and quickly asked, "What do you want? You don't want that building anymore?" "Of course I want the building, but I don't have time to sign any bullshit agreement with you." Qin Haodong said, "Send the transfer procedures for that building to me before you get off work, and then I'll give you the medicine. Remember, don't lie to me with a fake one. I can find it." Sun Qianqian didn't expect Qin Haodong to directly ask her for the property certificate, which made all the methods she had thought of useless. Qin Haodong continued, "Miss Sun, I advise you to hurry up. It's not a small matter to get the property certificate. If you go now, it'll be good if you can get it done before you get off work. Once you miss it, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." Sun Qianqian still didn't want to give up. She said, "But the transfer of the property requires both parties to be present. What can I do if you don't come?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Others can't, but your Sun family can. If you really can't do it, there's nothing I can do." Seeing that Qin Haodong wouldn't be fooled no matter what, Sun Qianqian roared crazily, "Qin Haodong, don't go too far. I'm the second miss of the Sun family. Please, big sister. Even if you want to threaten me, you have to change it to something new, okay? Let's put it this way. When you get the property certificate, call me and I'll give you the medicine. Also, I'm informing you that I won't go out before the crime squad gets off work. Don't have any bad ideas." After that, he hung up the phone. Nalan Wuxia reached out and pinched his cheek. She said with a smile, "You're really bad. You're threatening me like this." Qin Haodong said, "This is called giving her a taste of her own medicine. She wants to steal my medicine, so I'll steal her building. Evil people need to be tortured by evil people." After hanging up the phone, Sun Qianqian grabbed the red wine bottle in front of her and smashed it on the ground. After venting her anger crazily, she found that there was no other way but to agree to Qin Haodong's request. She picked up her cell phone and dialed Sun Wei's number. "Don't stay there. Come back quickly." Sun Wei was very fast. 10 minutes later, he returned to Sun Qianqian's room. "Second miss, what do you need me to do?" Sun Qianqian took out a stack of property certificates and said, "Go to the real estate company now and transfer the property rights of that house to Qin Haodong's name." Sun Wei said in surprise, "Second miss, are you really going to give it to that guy? How can that be?" Before he could finish speaking, the furious Sun Qianqian roared again, "Do you think I don't know whether it can be done or not? Don't talk nonsense. Just do it when I tell you to. She slammed the property certificate in her hand on Sun Wei's Sakyamuni head. Hurry up. If you can't get the property certificate by the end of the day, I'll cut off your head. Go. I'll go right now. Sun Wei picked up the property certificate and ran out of the room in a panic. It was no wonder that Sun Qianqian was anxious. Time passed by. What she needed to do now was to get the red breast enhancement and body shaping elixir as soon as possible. She could only transfer the property to Qin Haodong first. Other things could be discussed later. Qin Haodong and Nalan Wuxia happily stayed together. They had lunch together at noon. When it was almost time to get off work, his cell phone rang. Qin Haodong, the property certificate has been completed. I'll ask Sun Wei to send it to the crime squad now. Don't go back on your word. On the other side of the phone, Sun Qianqian said in a hoarse voice. Don't worry. I always keep my word. I'll give you the medicine immediately after I get the property certificate. Qin Haodong hung up the phone and asked Ma Wenjue to send someone to check the property registration information to make sure that the house was under his name. Not long after, Sun Wei appeared in front of the crime squad. Qin Haodong took the property certificate and checked it. There was no problem. He threw the small jade bottle in his hand to him and said with a smile, "This head shape is not bad. It suits you." Sun Wei took the small jade bottle and glared at Qin Haodong. Then, he hurriedly got into the car and sent the medicine to Sun Qianqian. Nalan Wuxia appeared next to Qin Haodong and said, "Although you got the house, I'm afraid the Sun family won't let it go." Qin Haodong put away the property certificate and said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. The house is in my hands. It doesn't matter what they do." In the Sun family, Sun Wei rushed into Sun Qianqian's room. "Second miss, I've brought the medicine." "Where is it? Give it to me quickly." Sun Qianqian couldn't wait to take the small jade bottle. She opened the cork and saw 3 red breast enhancement and body shaping pills inside. Sun Wei said, "Second miss, do you think that guy will lie to us with fake medicine?" Sun Qianqian stared at him and said, "What should we do? Why don't you try one first?" Sun Wei was so scared that his whole body trembled. He shuddered at the thought of putting Sun Qianqian's deformed chest on his body. He quickly said, "Second miss, I was just saying casually. I don't think that guy has any reason to lie to us. Since he got the house, he will definitely give us the real medicine. I apologize for the mistake in the previous chapter. The main website of Zongheng has been modified, but the data on the channel website may not be accurate. You can go to Zongheng to have a look." Chapter 5:12. Sun Qianqian coldly snorted and poured the 3 pills in her hand into her mouth. She also thought that Qin Haodong had no need to make fake medicine. The most important thing was that he had no other choice. After 4 or 5 hours, Sun Qianqian walked out of her room when it was close to 9 p.m. At this time, his left chest had also swelled up, reaching the size of his right chest, like 2 huge balloons hanging in front of his chest. Sun Wei waited at the door. When he saw her come out, he immediately went up to her and said flatteringly, "Second missy, are you really cured?" Finally, he looked at Sun Qianqian's figure and exclaimed, "Second miss, your figure is too good. Even the world's top models can't compare to you." That was what he said, but that was not what he thought. In fact, Sun Qianqian's height was barely 160 meters. In the past, her B cup looked quite coordinated. Now, it had suddenly become an E cup. Her large breasts and buttocks made her seem out of proportion. She looked extremely awkward and did not have any beauty to speak of. However, Sun Qianqian was not interested in this kind of thing. Flattery was very effective, and he said proudly, "Right, I also think my figure is not bad." Sun Wei flattered again, "I told you that brat wouldn't dare to lie to you. You are the second daughter of the Sun family. After saying that, Sun Qianshan's expression immediately turned cold. The medicine is real, but the commercial building is also under that brat's name. We must find a way to get it back. Furthermore, this brat played me like this. I must make him pay the price. Of course, our Sun family isn't something that anyone can provoke. Sun Wei said. Second Missy, what do you think we should do? Do you want me to bring some people to kill him? Qin Haodong must die, but before that, you must take back the house. Sun Qianshan asked, do you know where that guy is now? Sun Wei quickly said, I know. I've sent someone to keep an eye on him. He's having dinner with Nalan Wuxia of the crime squad in Dongqing district. You did a good job. Call your men and bring the weapons. We're going to find him now. Sun Wei said, Second Miss, that kid is with the captain of the entire criminal police team. Isn't it inappropriate for us to take action now? Sun Qianshan said, are you a pig brain? I won't wait for them to split up before I make my move. Qin Haodong spent the whole night with Nalan Wuxia. After they had dinner together, he sent her back to the crime squad dormitory. Nalan Wuxia kissed him on the cheek and said, be careful when you go back. I guess the Sun family will make trouble for you. Qin Haodong smiled and said, it doesn't matter. I'm not afraid of trouble. He had long sensed that someone was following him. He knew that Sun Qianshan would not let it go, so he did not take a taxi after he went out. Instead, he walked slowly along the street alone. Sure enough, as soon as they arrived at a secluded place, 7 or 8 SUVs drove over quickly. Sun Qianshan appeared with her people. The car door opened and Sun Wei rushed over with a gun in his hand and a group of people. He pointed the gun at Qin Haodong and shouted arrogantly, boy, you've offended the Sun family. Let's see where you can run to. Qin Haodong didn't panic at all. He smiled at him and said, which eye of yours saw me running away? Aren't we waiting for you? You, Sun Wei was so angry that his eyes were burning, but he had nothing to say. Qin Haodong really didn't show any signs of running away. Sun Qianshan pushed him aside and said to Qin Haodong, Qin, do you know why I'm looking for you? It seems that the medicine is effective. Qin Haodong glanced at her chest and said, of course I know. You must also know that such a big chest is not suitable for you, so you want me to make it smaller. With all due respect, I have a way to make it bigger, but I can't do anything to make it smaller. Sun Qianshan said angrily, I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the commercial building opposite Shue's jewelry. Oh. You're talking about that building? Qin Haodong said, that building is good, but it's mine now. Sun Qianshan cried, I gave it to you. Yes, you said you gave it to me, so it's mine. What's the problem? Don't play dumb with me. Hand it over, or I'll throw you into the river to feed the fish. Qin Haodong said, that's not right. How can you take back what you gave me? Where's your integrity? Sun Qianshan was so angry that she almost fainted. She took 2 steps forward, stared at Qin Haodong fiercely, and said, just tell me, are you going to give it to me or not? Qin Haodong said matter-of-factly, of course not. This is my building. Why should I give it to you? Pretty boy, you won't give up until you see the coffin. Sun Qianshan waved her hand behind her and said, shoot him. Break his legs first. Before she could finish speaking, she suddenly felt like a rooster that had been strangled and could not make a sound. She did not know when Qin Haodong had come behind her. He grabbed her neck and used her as a shield. He said to Sun Wei and the others, put down your guns, or I'll break her neck. Sun Wei was shocked. He did not expect Qin Haodong to be so decisive. He was obviously here for revenge, but in the blink of an eye, Sun Qianshan had become a hostage. Qin Haodong, don't mess around, or I'll kill you with one shot. Sun Wei, who did not give up, still wanted to threaten him, but he found that Sun Qianshan's eyes had rolled up and her legs were kicking. She was about to be strangled to death. Sun Qianqian was the third generation of the Sun family. If she was really strangled to death because of him, no one present would live. Thinking of this, Sun Wei threw the gun on the ground as if it was burning his hand. He quickly shouted, "Did you hear that? Put down your guns. Put them down." There were more than 20 bodyguards, but only 4 of them had guns in their hands. After hearing Sun Wei's order, they threw the guns at their feet one after another. Only then did Qin Haodong loosen his right hand. Fresh air rushed into Sun Qianqian's throat. She coughed first and then took big breaths. She felt her legs go weak. If she had not leaned on Qin Haodong, she would not have been able to stand at all. At that moment, she really felt the feeling of death. Qin Haodong did not let go of her completely. He shouted to those people, "Throw the guns over." The bodyguards hesitated for a moment. Sun Qianqian, who had just recovered, immediately shouted angrily, "I told you to throw them over. Didn't you hear me? Do you want to get me killed?" She now hated these bodyguards to death. More than 20 people could not stop Qin Haodong and made her a hostage. She had almost been strangled to death just now. Hearing their master's order, the bodyguards kicked the pistols on the ground to Qin Haodong, including Sun Wei's. "That's right. If you have something to say, just say it. Why use knives and guns?" Qin Haodong said as he let go of Sun Qianqian. As soon as he let go, Sun Wei immediately pulled Sun Qianqian over. Then, he took out a pistol from his waist and pointed it at Qin Haodong's face. He shouted proudly, "Boy, you didn't expect me to have 2 guns, did you? Hurry up and kneel, or I will blow your head off immediately." He was proud of his cleverness when he suddenly felt his hand lighten. The pistol was already in Qin Haodong's hand. Then, the handle of the gun fell on his head like raindrops. There was a big bump on Sun Wei's head. After taking medicine, the swelling had just subsided a little. Now, he was hit by the handle of the gun again. After that, Qin Haodong shook his hand gently and the pistol turned into spare parts on the ground. Then, he raised his hand and gently twisted Sun Wei's neck. There was a crisp sound. Sun Wei was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He thought that he was completely finished and that his neck had been broken. However, he soon realized that he was not dead and did not feel any pain. However, he soon discovered that the scene in front of him had tilted at a 45-degree angle. It turned out that it was not the scene that was tilted, but he had become a crooked neck. He could not correct it no matter what. Qin Haodong clapped his hands and said to Sun Qianqian, who was stunned, "Okay, now we can have a good talk." Sun Qianqian swallowed and said nervously, "There's no need to talk. I don't want that building anymore." She had already seen the situation in front of her. She could not get the building back even if she wanted it. Qin Haodong was really more powerful than they had imagined. That building was originally mine. There's nothing to talk about. Qin Haodong came in front of Sun Qianqian and said with a smile, "That's not what I want to talk to you about." Then what do you want to talk about? Sun Qianqian had a bad feeling and became more and more nervous. Qin Haodong said, "We are both reasonable people. There is an old saying in Wuxia that goes, you can do it twice, but you can't do it thrice. If I remember correctly, this is the 3rd time you have come to make trouble for me. You should at least give me some compensation." Sun Qianqian cursed in her heart. "You took away that building worth 500 million yuan and didn't give me a penny. What compensation do you want?" Although she thought this, she did not dare to say it out loud. She asked, "What compensation do you want?" Qin Haodong took the folder in her hand, pointed to the agreement inside and said, "You are going to sign an agreement, right? Then let's sign one. Give me your car as compensation for tonight." As he spoke, he pointed to a Mercedes-Benz SUV next to him. After arriving in Shanghai, he did not have a car, which was very inconvenient. This was the new Mercedes-Benz G-Class SUV that Sun Qianqian had bought. It looked pretty good. Sun Qianqian had the urge to vomit blood. She had indeed brought the agreement, but she wanted Qin Haodong to sign it and transfer the commercial building back to her. She did not expect that it would become an agreement for her to give up her car. She had always liked SUVs, and she had just bought this car for 4.3 million yuan. She had not even driven it for 3 days. She was really reluctant to give it up just like that. Looking at Sun Qianqian's pained face, Qin Haodong said, "I have always been a reasonable person. If you don't want to give it up, that's fine. Do you see him? I will make your neck look like that." As he spoke, he pointed to Sun Wei, whose neck was tilted like Shengongbao. "You must know my medical skills. As long as I don't do anything, no one can correct it. Even the World Medical Association will say that it is congenital. No one can do anything about it. How about it? If you are satisfied with this shape, I don't want this car." Sun Qianqian looked at Sun Wei, whose neck was tilted at a 45-degree angle. This shape was much uglier than her deformed chest. Sun Qianqian quickly said, "I'll give it to you. Isn't it just a car? Now this car is yours." After that, she took the agreement and quickly wrote a car transfer agreement. The general meaning was that the car would be transferred to Qin Haodong for free. Sun Qianqian's name was signed at the bottom. Qin Haodong looked at the agreement and said, "It's pretty good. I hope we can have another chance to cooperate in the future. Goodbye." After that, he walked toward the Mercedes-Benz SUV. As he passed by, he stepped on the pistols. He walked to the front of the car, opened the door, and got in. Sun Wei did not give up. He rushed over to pick up a pistol, but was surprised to find that the gun in his hand had become a discus. Chapter 5:13. Seeing the crushed pistol, everyone was shocked. They looked at the disappearing taillights of the Mercedes-Benz with fear. Sun Wei said in a dry voice, "An inner strength master. I didn't expect him to be an inner strength master at such a young age." Among the 3 top families in Shanghai, the Sun family was famous for their martial arts and had many masters. However, even in such a family, there were not many inner strength masters. Someone as young as Qin Haodong was even rarer. Since Qin Haodong had left, there was no need for them to stay. The group quickly returned to the Sun family. An hour later, Sun Wei, who had finished bandaging his head, appeared in Sun Qianqian's room again. At this time, his neck was tilted. His head was bandaged like one of the black cat sheriff's ears. It looked particularly funny. Sun Qianqian's face was livid. This time, not only did they not get the building back, but they had also lost a Mercedes-Benz. They had suffered a double loss. Sun Wei gritted his teeth and said, "Second miss, we must take revenge." Sun Qianqian said, "I also want to take revenge, but tell me, what should I do?" This, thinking of how terrifying Qin Haodong was, Sun Wei felt a sense of powerlessness. He said tentatively, "Second miss, why don't we call the police?" "Call the police? Is your brain damaged?" Sun Qianqian raised her hand and slapped Sun Wei's head, ignoring his injury. "If we call the police, what will we sue him for? We robbed him with a gun. Is he going to sue us or him? We can still think of a way to deal with this matter now. Once the old man finds out, we will be completely finished." "Got it, miss." Sun Wei covered his head and grimaced in pain. Suddenly, he had an idea and said, "Miss, I have an idea." "What bad idea do you have this time?" Sun Qianqian looked at him and said, "It's not a bad idea. This time, it's definitely a good idea." Sun Wei said, "Second miss, think about it. Qin Haodong used pills to force you to hand over the building. Can we also force him to hand it back?" Sun Qianqian said angrily, "You useless people were beaten like dogs with guns just now. How can we force him?" "Second miss, we underestimated that guy this time. I didn't expect him to be an inner strength martial artist. But it didn't matter. Although he was powerful, he still had his family and friends, right? We can capture his family and friends, and then we'll have hostages in our hands. Let's see if he can still do anything then. In the end, we can do whatever we want with it. Sun Tiantian thought about it. This seemed to be a good idea. Alright then, I'll leave this matter to you. If you do well, you will be rewarded handsomely. If you don't, then get out of the Sun family. Don't worry, Second Mississippi. I'll do it right away. I'll go and find out more about that kid first. After saying that, Sun Wei crooked her neck and walked out of the room. After Qin Haodong drove away, he went straight to the airport. The plane of Lin Momo and the little fellow was about to arrive. Thinking that he was about to see his woman and daughter, he was so excited that he could not help but drive a little faster. At the exit of the airport, Lin Momo and Tang Tang walked out with the crowd. The combination of a good-looking mother and a beautiful Lolita daughter was particularly conspicuous in the crowd. Qin Haodong saw the mother and daughter at a glance. The little fellow also saw Qin Haodong, who was picking up the plane. She immediately jumped out of Lin Momo's arms and rushed into Qin Haodong's arms. Then, she kissed him on the cheek. The little fellow tightly hugged his neck and said, "Papa, I haven't seen you for so many days. I missed you so much." "Papa missed you too," Qin Haodong said as he kissed the little fellow on the cheek several times. At this time, Lin Momo also came out. He stepped forward and held Lin Momo in his arms. Without saying a word, he kissed her. Although she had missed Qin Haodong a lot these days, Lin Momo was still shy. She gently pushed him away and said coquettishly, "What are you doing? Tang Tang is still here. I didn't see anything." As the little fellow spoke, she used her two chubby little hands to cover her eyes. Her big eyes peeked through the gaps between her fingers as she giggled. "Look at how sensible our daughter is." Qin Haodong kissed Lin Momo on the cheek again. Then, the family of three left the airport. After getting in the car, Qin Haodong threw the property certificate of the commercial building to Lin Momo. "This will be the new headquarters of Lin's group in Shanghai from now on." Lin Momo looked at the property certificate and said in surprise, "You got it so soon?" "Of course, or I wouldn't be able to see you and Tang Tang." Qin Haodong said, "We already have a house. When will your team come?" "It will take at least 2 or 3 days. It's not so easy to move a big group. There are a lot of things to prepare." Qin Haodong nodded. He was not good at these things, so he left it to Lin Momo. Soon, they arrived home. Because they often talked on the phone before, Lin Momo was very familiar with his situation. She was not too surprised to know that there was a house here. After going upstairs, the 4 girls still did not sleep. They sat in the living room and watched TV together. After hearing the footsteps, they looked over together. When they saw Lin Momo and the little fellow entering the door with Qin Haodong, their expressions were different. Li Meiyu and Jia Shihan were shocked and surprised. They did not expect that Qin Haodong would come back so late and bring back 2 beautiful women. Nailan Wushuang and Qi Wan were surprised and exclaimed, "Sister Lin, Tang Tang, you are here. Second mom, Auntie Wan, you are here too." The little fellow was also very surprised. She ran over and threw herself into Nailan Wushuang's arms. "Tang Tang, how did you get here?" Nailan Wushuang kissed her little face and asked. "It was Papa who brought me and Mama here." The little fellow pointed to Qin Haodong and said. Li Meiyu's face changed instantly when she heard Tang Tang call Qin Haodong Papa and Lin Momo Mama. During this time, her feelings for Qin Haodong were changing every day. Although she was unwilling to admit it, she felt more and more inseparable from this man. But at this time, a little girl suddenly ran out and called him Papa. What was going on? And the beautiful woman next to her, who was she? Was she Qin Haodong's wife? How was that possible? She pulled Qin Haodong to the side and asked angrily, "Tell me what's going on. Aren't you just a freshman? Why do you have a daughter?" "Don't worry, listen to my explanation." Qin Haodong also had a headache. If he had known this would happen, he would not have pursued this girl. Now he was in trouble. However, he was also afraid that if he really angered Li Meiyu, she would move out of his house. At that time, he would have to send someone to guard her 24 hours a day. Before the bodyguard mission was terminated in Hong Kong, he could only continue the lie as much as possible. He said, "Here's the thing. Tang Tang is my goddaughter. Otherwise, how could I have such an old daughter at my age?" Hearing that she was his goddaughter, Li Meiyu's expression eased a lot, but she still felt that something was wrong. She asked again, "Who is this woman? Did you know Sister Wushuang and Wan before? Why do they look so familiar?" Qin Haodong said, "This is Tang Tang's mother, Sister Momo. Our two families used to live together. We were neighbors and had a very good relationship. This time she came to Shanghai to open a company, so she temporarily lived with me. Sister Wushuang is Tang Tang's godmother, so they must know each other. Wan and Sister Wushuang have such a good relationship, so it's normal for them to be familiar with each other." "So, you also knew Sister Wushuang and Wan before? Why didn't you tell me?" "I'm not very familiar with them, and I was afraid that you would think too much, so I didn't tell you." Qin Haodong lied one after another, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Fortunately, this explanation barely made sense. Li Meiyu said, "Well, you pass. Don't hide anything from me in the future." "Got it, madam." Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief. This time he finally fooled her. Now he hoped that the old man in Hong Kong would take his granddaughter back as soon as possible and end this bodyguard mission. The salary of 1 million a day was indeed a lot, but it was too tiring. After breakfast the next day, Qin Haodong and Li Meiyu went to school together. Lin Momo took the little fellow to deal with other matters of the temporary group's relocation. Jia Shihan was very fond of the little fellow. It just so happened that she had nothing to do, so she went with them. After arriving at the classroom, Ji Fubao and Tian Buguang immediately surrounded Qin Haodong when they saw him. Ji Fubao said, "Boss, it's only the first day of school, but you already skipped class. What did you do?" Tian Buguang said with a sinister smile, "Did you go on a date with a beautiful woman?" Ji Fubao said, "Nonsense. There are so many beautiful women in our class. Aren't they enough for you? How could you go on a date?" Tian Buguang said, "You won't understand even if I tell you. How can a single dog like you know that the red flag at home doesn't fall?" "All right, shut up, you two." Qin Haodong didn't want to talk too much about his own affairs. Seeing that Su Hui's seat was still empty, he changed the topic and said, "Why hasn't Su Hui come today?" Ji Fubao said, "Who knows? You skipped class yesterday as the class monitor. Today, it's the deputy class monitor's turn to skip class." Tian Buguang said with a smile, "Fortunately, you didn't skip class together. Otherwise, people would really think that you two went on a date. It would hurt the hearts of many single dogs." Soon, the bell rang. Su Hui still hadn't come. It seemed that she had indeed skipped class today. After a day of class, Qin Haodong was drowsy most of the time. With his current level of medical skills, no one could be his teacher in the field of traditional Chinese medicine. Su Hui hadn't come to class for a day. It seemed that something must have happened to her. After class, Qin Haodong was about to go out when he received a call from Su Hui. After pressing the answer button, he said, "Su Hui, why didn't you come to class today?" "My grandfather is sick." Su Hui said in a low voice, "Grandpa has a fever of 39 degrees. It has been burning for a day and a night. I've tried all kinds of methods, but it hasn't gone down. Can you come and take a look at him? Qin Haodong said, how could it be so serious? Even old Master Su can't do anything about it. Su Hui said, my grandfather has also seen it. He originally thought it was just an ordinary cold, but it didn't work after taking 2 doses of medicine in a row. Later, he was sent to the affiliated hospital of the Shanghai Medical College. The doctor diagnosed it as a cold. He used the antipyretics of Western medicine, but it still didn't work at all. Oh. I'll go and have a look. Qin Haodong said, tell me the location of the old master's ward. Su Hui said, thank you. I'll wait for you at the entrance of the inpatient department of the Shanghai Medical College. Qin Haodong said goodbye to Nalan Wushuang and the others, and then rushed to the inpatient department of the Shanghai Medical College. The inpatient department was only separated from the medical college by a wall. Soon, he saw Su Hui waiting in front of the door. Su Hui was wearing a white dress. From a distance, she looked like a blooming lily, elegant and beautiful. However, she looked a little haggard today. Her brows were slightly furrowed, and there was a trace of sadness that could not be dispelled. Chapter 5:14. After seeing Qin Haodong, Su Hui's heart flashed with excitement. She stepped forward and said, Brother Haodong, I'm really sorry to have caused you trouble. I had no choice. Grandpa's high fever didn't subside, and other doctors couldn't cure him, so I could only invite you here. Su Hui was completely convinced by Qin Haodong's magical medical skills to cure Mrs. Zhang. In addition, during this period of time, she learned the 9 magical needles of plum blossom. The more she learned about it, the more she felt that his medical skills were unfathomable. Now Qin Haodong had a high position in Su Hui's heart, even higher than her grandfather, Su Hongbo. It doesn't matter. We're classmates. There's no need to be so polite. Then Qin Haodong followed Su Hui to the building of the inpatient department. As they walked, he asked, how did the old man fall ill? My grandfather is Lu Qigong, a professor in the Department of Archaeology at Shanghai University. A very important ancient tomb was unearthed in Wuxia a few days ago. Because my grandfather is very successful in archaeology, he was appointed to lead the team to investigate. My grandfather was also very interested in this ancient tomb, so he set up an archaeological team, but I didn't expect that he would fall ill on the first day they entered the ancient tomb. After he came back, he continued to have a fever until now. In the intensive care unit of Shanghai Medical College, a thin old man was lying on the bed, with a strange blush on his livid face. He was Su Hui's grandfather, Lu Qigong. Due to the continuous high fever, he had fallen into a coma. Su Hui's grandfather, Su Hongbo, was sitting at the head of the bed, with his right hand on Lu Qigong's pulse. He frowned, as if he was looking for the cause of the disease. Behind the old man stood a young man in his 20s, wearing gold-rimmed glasses and frowning. He was Lu Qigong's student, Zhang Jingsong. He had been by the old man's side these days. At this moment, the door opened and a middle-aged doctor in his 50s came in, followed by 7 or 8 doctors in white coats. Next to the middle-aged doctor, a young doctor in his 30s was introducing the patient's condition. Professor Zhao, this case is very special. He has been having a high fever for more than 24 hours. At first, we thought it was just a cold, but after a blood test, there were no viruses or bacteria. We ruled out the possibility of a cold causing a high fever, but we couldn't find other causes. We're already at our wits' end, so we can only trouble you to take action. The middle-aged doctor was called Zhao Qingzhong. He was a famous internal medicine expert at Shanghai Medical College. If Su Hongbo was the leader of the Chinese medicine department, then Zhao Qingzhong was the authority of Western medicine. After listening to the introduction, Zhao Qingzhong only snorted softly and did not say anything. However, his face was filled with arrogance. It seemed that he did not take it to heart. Another young doctor next to him said, Dr. Wang, don't worry. With my teacher's help, any disease will be cured. As they spoke, the group entered the ward. Zhao Qingzhong raised his head and suddenly saw Elder Su sitting at the head of the bed. He frowned and said, "Su Hongba, why are you here?" Then he turned to look at the young doctor next to him and said angrily, "What's wrong with you? This is a Western medicine hospital, a temple of science. Why did they invite a Chinese medicine doctor? Since you found him, why did you invite me over?" He was the authority of Western medicine, and Elder Su Hongba was an expert of Chinese medicine. The two of them were the representatives of Chinese medicine and Western medicine in Shanghai Medical College respectively. Just yesterday, Zhao Qingzhong had suggested to the director at the Chinese medicine department should be abolished. Su Hongba had a big fight with him because of this. The two of them had a fierce debate. Because of this, he immediately flew into a rage when he saw Su Hongba in the ward. After that, he turned his head and was about to leave. The young doctor quickly explained, "Professor Zhao, don't be angry. The patient is Mr. Su's relative. Mr. Su is not a doctor now, but a family member of the patient. Please don't misunderstand." Hearing the young doctor's explanation, Zhao Qingzhong's heart skipped a beat, and then a sneer flashed across his face. He turned his head, looked at Su Hongba and said, "Old man, since you said that Chinese medicine is so powerful, why don't you use your medical skills to treat your relative? Why did you send him to our ward?" Su Hongba's beard twitched, and he couldn't find a suitable excuse for a while. From the bottom of his heart, he didn't want to send Lu Qigong here, but he couldn't find the cause of the disease in a short time, and Lu Qigong had a high fever. Under the strong request of Su Hui's parents, he could only send Lu Qigong here first. But he didn't expect to meet his old enemy, Zhao Qingzhong, here. Seeing that Su Hongba didn't speak, Zhao Qingzhong immediately laughed. "Old man Su, if I'm not wrong, it's because you can't cure your relative's illness, so you sent him here, right?" After that, he laughed again and then said sarcastically, "In the debate yesterday, didn't you say that Chinese medicine is a treasure left by our ancestors and the crystallization of thousands of years of Wuxia culture? You also said that Chinese medicine can cure the root cause and Western medicine can only cure the symptoms. Now, even your relative can't cure him. Tell me, what's the use of this treasure? What's the use of this crystal? Now you can't even cure a fever. How can you Chinese medicine cure the root cause?" Su Hongba was so angry that his face turned livid. He said angrily, "I admit that I haven't found the cause of my relative's illness yet. But it's not that Chinese medicine is not good, but that I'm not good at it. It has nothing to do with Chinese medicine. Old man Su, at this time, you're still so stubborn." Zhao Qingzhong said, "In that case, you can continue to find Chinese medicine practitioners to treat your relative. When you're convinced, when you say that Chinese medicine practitioners are liars and that Chinese medicine is not as good as Western medicine, I'll come back to treat your relative." Su Hongba didn't expect that this guy was so narrow-minded that he even threatened him with his relative's life. He immediately said angrily, "Zhao Qingzhong, are you still a doctor? Do you remember what a doctor's job is?" Zhao Qingzhong sneered and said, "Old man Su, it's useless to say anything else. When you're convinced, you can come back to me." At this time, Gao Jingsong, who was next to him, couldn't stand it anymore. He pointed at Zhao Qingzhong's nose and said, "I don't know Chinese medicine or Western medicine. I only know that my teacher is sick now. As doctors, you should treat him instead of fighting with the patient's life here. If you do this, you don't deserve to be a doctor at all." Well said. He really doesn't deserve to be a doctor. While they were talking, a young man and a young woman came in. It was Qin Haodong and Su Hui. Seeing that a young man in his 20s dared to teach him a lesson, Zhao Qingzhong said coldly, "Who are you? Do you know who I am? What right do you have to talk to me?" Qin Haodong glanced at him and said, "I'm a student of the medical college and also a Chinese medicine practitioner. I don't need to know who you are. I only know that you don't have the medical ethics of a doctor. Nonsense. How dare a student talk to Professor Zhao like this? You're really unruly. Do you know who Professor Zhao is? The students he taught are all qualified to be your teachers. Professor Zhao is a doctor who studied abroad in M country. He's a famous figure in the World Medical Association. If he doesn't deserve to be a doctor, who else can? The doctors behind Zhao Qingzhong started to attack Qin Haodong. Hearing all the flattery, Zhao Qingzhong said proudly, "Did you hear that? A student like you who hasn't graduated yet is not qualified to talk to me at all." Qin Haodong glanced at him contemptuously and said, "No matter how good your qualifications are, no matter how good your medical skills are, people like you who have no medical ethics are nothing in my eyes. You." Qin Haodong glanced at him contemptuously and said, "No matter how good your qualifications are, no matter how good your medical skills are, people like you who have no medical ethics are nothing in my eyes. You." Zhao Qingzhong was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. With his medical skills and qualifications, no matter where he went, he was surrounded by people and flattered constantly. He had never been despised like this before. Humph. You ignorant boy, I don't want to talk to you. Zhao Qingzhong turned his head and continued to say to Su Hongbo, "I still say the same thing. If you want me to treat you, you have to bow your head and apologize to me. Otherwise, you can find a Chinese medicine practitioner who can cure this disease." Before Su Hongbo could speak, Qin Haodong said, "There's no need to find one. I can cure this disease." After he said that, all the people present were shocked, but except for Su Hui, they all sneered at him. Even Su Hongbo, the leading Chinese medicine practitioner, couldn't cure the disease. How could a young Chinese medicine practitioner in his 20s, a student who hadn't graduated, say that he could cure it? Wasn't this a joke? Su Hongbo pulled Su Hui and asked, "Girl, who is this?" "Grandpa, this is Qin Haodong, the classmate I told you about. I learned the magic plum blossom acupuncture from him." Hearing Qin Haodong's name, Su Hongbo's expression changed. Was it really that person? But if it was really him, how could he come to Shanghai Medical College as a freshman? If not, who else could have such amazing medical skills at such a young age except that person? He said, "Young man, can you really cure this disease?" Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Don't worry, sir. I can definitely cure it." After that, he stepped to Lu Qigong's bedside. Seeing that he was going to treat Lu Qigong, the young doctor cried, "Wait a minute, you're a Chinese medicine practitioner student. Don't you know where you are? If you cure the patient's problem, who will be responsible?" "I'll be responsible." Su Hongbo was angry. He glared at him and said, "Young man, you can do whatever you want. No matter what happens, I'll take responsibility." The young doctor cried, "Mr. Su, that's what you said." Su Hongbo cried, "It's what I said. From now on, whatever problem Mr. Lu has, it has nothing to do with your hospital." Zhao Qingzhong laughed and said, "Old man Su, are you old and muddled or are you out of your mind? Even such a young boy believes it. Is this the legendary saying that people who are ill will turn to any doctor they can find? I think you'd better give up. Now bow your head to me and admit that traditional Chinese medicine is not good. I'll treat your in-laws immediately." Qin Haodong frowned and said to him, "Do you think I can't cure Mr. Lu's disease?" Zhao Qingzhong said with disdain, "Is there a need to say that? Anyone would be able to see it." Qin Haodong said, "In that case, do you dare to make a bet with me?" Zhao Qingzhong said arrogantly, "You don't deserve to bet with me." "I don't think you dare, do you?" Qin Haodong glanced at him and said, "Let's not bet on anything else. If I cure Mr. Lu's disease, you apologize to Mr. Su and traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. You'll call Mr. Su your teacher in the future." Zhao Qingzhong said, "What a big bet. What if you lose?" Qin Haodong said, if I lose, I'll quit traditional Chinese medicine and make a statement admitting that traditional Chinese medicine is not as good as Western medicine. You're just a nobody. Who will read your statement? Zhao Qingzhong's expression became more and more disdainful. It's not that I don't dare to bet with you, but I'm not satisfied with your bet at all. Qin Haodong stepped in front of him and whispered a few words. Zhao Qingzhong's expression changed. He looked at him and said, "Are you sure?" Chapter 5:15. Qin Haodong said, "Of course." Zhao Qingzhong said without hesitation, "Well, I'll bet with you. Don't go back on your word." Seeing that he really agreed, the people around him were extremely surprised. Especially Su Hongba. He and Zhao Qingzhong were old rivals. He knew that this guy had always been proud and arrogant. He was afraid that he would not agree to bet with him. Why did he bet with Qin Haodong? What on earth did this young man say to him? Then it's a deal. Everyone is a witness. I'll start to treat Mr. Lu now. After Qin Haodong said that, he first took out a physique-improving pill and gave it to Lu Qigong. Then, he took out silver needles from his pocket and started acupuncture. In fact, these two methods were basically to deceive people. Lu Qigong did not have a cold. When he just entered the door, he had already been sure that the old man had a cold in his body. That was why the old man had a fever for a long time and the medicine didn't work at all. It seemed that there was something with a strong evil spirit in the ancient temple. Otherwise, the old man would not have become so ill all of a sudden. The best way to deal with this kind of evil spirit was to use the yin-yang mirror. Because of this great artifact, he dared to make such a big bet with Zhao Qingzhong. After entering the gold core stage, Qin Haodong was able to control the size of the yin-yang mirror. At this time, he had turned the yin-yang mirror into the size of a coin and held it in his palm. He quietly absorbed the evil spirit in Lu Qigong's body. The people around gathered around and watched. Zhao Qingzhong and the doctors and masters behind him all pursed their lips. They didn't take Qin Haodong's means seriously at all. In their opinion, it was impossible for traditional Chinese medicine to cure the disease that even Western medicine couldn't cure. Zhou Hongba also frowned. Although he didn't know what medicine Qin Haodong gave Lu Qigong, he could still understand this set of acupuncture. Wasn't this the rejuvenating acupuncture technique that Su Hui mentioned when she came back? It was not the magic plum blossom acupuncture technique. It was completely an ordinary acupuncture technique for massaging the blood. If this kind of acupuncture technique worked, Lu Qigong would not have to be hospitalized here. Seeing this, he couldn't help but worry for Qin Haodong. If he really lost the bet, not only Qin Haodong would lose face, but also the entire traditional Chinese medicine. Only Su Hui looked calm and her eyes were full of confidence. She had absolute trust in Qin Haodong now. Since Qin Haodong dared to bet, he must be 100% sure. 10 minutes later, Qin Haodong put away the silver needles and patted Lu Qigong's chest again, activating his qi and blood with greenwood genuine qi. "Alright, old man, get up and go home for dinner." "Are you kidding?" At this time, his body had completely recovered. He took Qin Haodong's hand and said, "Young man, have you eaten yet? Come to my house for a drink." "Old man, I want to thank you." "Wait a minute, Grandpa. There's something I need to deal with." Then Qin Haodong turned his head and grabbed Zhao Qingzhong, who was about to slip away quietly. He pointed to Su Hongba and said, "Call him teacher." Zhao Qingzhong almost choked to death by his own saliva. For so many years, he had been at odds with Su Hongba. Now he was asked to bow his head and admit his mistake and call him teacher. He couldn't open his mouth no matter what. Qin Haodong said, "You don't want to call me teacher. Let me tell you, I've recorded the bet just now. If you deny it, I'll post it on the internet and let all the Wuxia people in the world see the face of a Western medicine expert." No, please don't. I admit my defeat. Zhao Qingzhong finally chose to bow his head and bowed to Master Su. Mr. Su, I was wrong in the past. I shouldn't have discredited traditional Chinese medicine. I apologize to you and to traditional Chinese medicine. It was a short sentence, but it was extremely difficult for him to say it. After that, he hurriedly ran out of the ward with his men. I didn't expect that I would see this guy bow his head and apologize in my life. Even if I die, I have no regrets. After Su Hongba sighed with emotion, he said to Qin Haodong, young man, if I'm not mistaken, you're Qin Haodong, the medical sage of Jiangnan, aren't you? Qin Haodong was slightly stunned. Grandpa, you can tell. Then he was relieved. The medical sage was very famous in Jiangnan, but not many people in other provinces and cities knew him. Most of the people who could recognize him were the seniors in the field of traditional Chinese medicine. As a professor of traditional Chinese medicine at Shanghai Medical College, Old Master Su naturally paid close attention to the affairs of the field of traditional Chinese medicine. It was not surprising that he recognized him. Su Hongba said, in fact, when Hui went home and told me that you could do the rejuvenating acupuncture, I guessed that you might be the medical sage. But I didn't expect that the medical sage would come to Shanghai Medical College to study. With your medical skills, who can teach you? Let alone let me be your teacher, you're more than enough to be my teacher. You flatter me, Grandpa. Qin Haodong said politely, I came to Shanghai Medical College this time because I have something else to do, so I didn't reveal my identity. Oh. Su Hongba said, I know. You'll keep it a secret. Lu Qigong said, well, this is not the place to talk. Let's go to my house and talk while eating. Qin Haodong didn't stand on ceremony and left the hospital with the two old men. Su Hui followed the three of them. Seeing that the teacher was out of danger, Gao Jingsong didn't follow them anymore. He drove the four of them to Lu Qigong's house and left. Lu Qigong's house was on the first floor, and there was a small courtyard full of flowers and plants. After entering the door, an old lady in her 60s came out to greet them. She was Lu Qigong's wife, Zhu Chunmei. Who is this young man? Is he Hui's boyfriend? The old lady saw Qin Haodong at a glance. She stepped forward to take his hand and asked enthusiastically, young man, are you a local of Shanghai? What do your parents do? Where do you go to school? It seemed that she was arranging a blind date for her granddaughter. Qin Haodong was also speechless. It's not easy for you to survive. Shouldn't you care about his health? Why are you paying attention to me? In fact, he misunderstood. Zhu Chunmei didn't know how serious the old man's illness was. She thought it was just a cold and he would be fine after going to the hospital for an injection. Su Hui didn't tell her about the high fever. In contrast, she was more concerned about her granddaughter's boyfriend. Su Hui finally couldn't calm down. She glanced at Qin Haodong and said with a red face, Grandma, what are you talking about? He's just my classmate. Good classmate. We know each other well and we have the same level of education. In the future, when we get married, we will have a common language. Anyway, the old lady recognized Qin Haodong as her grandson-in-law. After entering the door, Zhu Chunmei had already prepared the meal and the family sat down. After eating, Su Hongba asked, Little Qin, I haven't had time to ask you yet. What's wrong with old Lu this time? How can it be so serious? And his pulse is in a mess. I can't see what the problem is at all. Qin Haodong said, Mr. Su, Mr. Lu is not sick this time, but Yin Qi has entered his body, so you can't see it from his pulse. If I'm not wrong, there must be something extremely evil in that ancient tomb. Mr. Lu is a little old and his yang Qi is weak, so it's easy for him to be invaded by evil Qi. Su Hongba said, I see. No wonder I can't see anything from his pulse. Fortunately, Hui invited you here this time. Otherwise, Lu Qingzhong wouldn't be able to cure this disease. Qin Haodong said, our ancient Chinese medicine is all about medical skills, martial arts and magic skills. It's to deal with this kind of situation. But now most of the magic skills and martial arts have been lost. Hearing the conversation of these people, Zhu Chunmei finally understood how serious her old man's illness was. He actually went to the gates of hell. She couldn't help but say with fear, you old man, I told you to retire early and enjoy life at home, but you didn't agree. Now, you almost lost your old life. Su Hongba said, that's enough, in-law. Don't mention the past. If old Lu survived this disaster, he will have a good fortune in the future. This time, we have to thank little Qin. If it weren't for him, none of us would have been able to cure old Lu's illness. Don't thank me. We'll be a family in the future. Zhu Chunmei took Qin Haodong's hand and said, I didn't expect my grandson-in-law to be so capable. He's much better than you two old men. Chapter 5:16. Qin Haodong said to the stubborn old lady, Grandma, you misunderstood me. Su Hui and I are just ordinary classmates. Zhu Chunmei said with a smile, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. I started off as ordinary classmates with the old man. Slowly, we became extraordinary, and finally, we became a family. Qin Haodong was speechless. Did the old lady want to recognize him as her grandson-in-law, or did she not want to pay the medical fee? As soon as he thought of this, Su Hongba said half-jokingly, Little Qin, I think this is a good suggestion. Old Lu has spent some money on antiques these years. His family is very poor, and he has no money to pay for your treatment. Why don't I pay you for my granddaughter? Grandpa, what are you talking about? I'm not a coin. How can I use it as a consultation fee? Su Hui glanced at Qin Haodong shyly. It was the first time for her to act like a shy little girl. Ever since she knew that Qin Haodong was the medical sage, there had been a subtle change in her heart. As the heir of a traditional Chinese medicine family, Su Hui had always regarded the medical sage as her idol. She admired his medical skills and medical ethics. In particular, the advent of the blood revival elixir had not only made an amazing breakthrough in medical skills, but it had also completely cured leukemia patients in all of Wuxia. Moreover, it had been sold at zero profit, which made her even more crazy about the title of medical sage. She hadn't recognized that Qin Haodong was the medical sage before, because Qin Haodong would use a little illusion on his face when he appeared on the screen. It looked very similar, but it was difficult for ordinary people to recognize it. In addition, he had the same mentality as Su Hongbo. He felt that it was impossible for a dignified medical sage to come to Shanghai Medical College to study, so he didn't think about it at all. He only felt that this was a classmate with amazing medical skills. His intention was very simple, which was to improve his medical skills. But now it was different. She knew Qin Haodong's identity. It was a strange feeling. Every time she saw his handsome face, her heart would beat faster uncontrollably. Qin Haodong didn't know Su Hui's complicated feelings. He said, Mr. Su, you must be joking. Su Hui and I are classmates. I'm just helping Mr. Lu. How can I charge you? Hearing Qin Haodong's refusal, Su Hui suddenly felt disappointed. Lu Qigong said, Little Qin, I'm not a doctor, but I know it's only right to pay for medical treatment. Old Su also said that my family really doesn't have much money. If I take less, I'll be letting you down for saving my life. How about this, I'll let you have a look at the antiques I've collected over the years. No matter which one you like, you can take it. It'll be my consultation fee. Qin Haodong said, Mr. Lu, a gentleman doesn't take what others love. How can I take away your treasured antiques? Forget it. Zhu Chunmei said, Little Qin, don't say that. Those things of his can't be eaten or drunk. They're useless there. If you like them, take them all away. Lu Qigong smiled and said, if you want to refuse my kindness, then you can only take Su Hui away. Qin Haodong didn't say more. He thought to himself, I'll just take one later. Su Hongba said, I think we're almost done eating. Let's go to Old Lu's treasure room and have a look. This guy has collected a lot of good things over the years. Alright, let's go take a look now. When it came to his treasure room, Lu Qigong's face flashed with excitement. As a first-class expert in the Department of Archaeology at the University of Shanghai, he had no hobbies these years and spent all his savings on buying antiques. After that, he stood up and took everyone to the basement, where he had specially decorated his treasure room. After opening the heavy security door, there was a small room of about 40 to 50 square meters. The decoration and planning were simple, clean and chic. There was nothing else in it, just a storage shelf with antiques on it. Qin Haodong stepped in and a burst of rich spiritual qi came to his face. He glanced around. It was worthy of being the collection room of an antique expert. More than 80% of the collections in it were authentic. Little Qin, I don't know if you're interested in antiques. Take a look at these things I've collected. After entering the treasure room, Lu Qigong seemed to have entered his own field. He suddenly became dozens of years younger. He pointed to the products on the storage shelf and kept introducing them. This is porcelain unearthed in the Song dynasty. Look at the pattern. It's made in the Guan kiln. This is an ancient sword from the Qin dynasty. It has a history of more than 200 years. This is the work of Zhang Daqian. It's definitely authentic. Some of the things in Lu Qigong's collection had profound cultural heritage and some were expensive. If they were taken to an auction, it would definitely cause a great sensation. If these things were seen by treasure lovers, they would definitely go crazy, but they could not arouse Qin Haodong's interest. He just slowly appreciated them as old Lu introduced them, and his expression was always calm. Su Hui had been secretly watching Qin Haodong's changes. Seeing his expression, she thought that he was only good at medical skills and didn't know how to appreciate antiques. He didn't know the value of her grandfather's collection. But in her opinion, this was not a shortcoming. It was extremely rare and precious for a man in his 20s to have such profound attainments in medical skills. Who could ask for anything else? Sun Hongba also thought so. He said, Old Lu, don't show off your things. We're all Chinese medicine practitioners. How can we understand these things? Just choose a good one for little Qin. Lu Qigong said, what do you know? It's not that I'm stingy, but it depends on what little Qin likes. If he likes ancient paintings, why do I have to give him a vase? He turned to Qin Haodong and said, Little Qin, choose one yourself. Then I'll choose. Qin Haodong was about to point to an antique at random. Suddenly, his expression froze and his eyes were fixed on a corner of the shelf. There was a small sword about 10 centimeters long placed there. The workmanship was not delicate, and the material was unknown. It was dark and without any luster. He took 2 steps to the shelf, grabbed the small sword in his hand, and felt the extremely weak spiritual power fluctuations on it. If he hadn't reached the gold core stage, he might not have found that there was an extremely secret seal on it. There was a seal on the yin-yang mirror found in Fatty Wang's house, but that kind of seal was very obvious, and it was also within the scope of Qin Haodong's knowledge. But the seal on this small sword was different. He could only feel that it was a powerful seal through the weak spiritual qi fluctuations, but he didn't know what kind of seal it was, nor could he see what treasure was under the seal. However, one thing was certain. The person who made this seal was definitely a master among masters. Something that could be sealed by such a peerless master was definitely not ordinary. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel excited. The yin-yang mirror was a divine weapon. What kind of treasure would this small sword be? Seeing him pick up the small sword, Lu Qigong stepped forward and said, I got it from the antique street. It cost me 100 yuan at that time. Later, I also studied it for a while. It's neither copper nor iron. I can't see what material it is, let alone which dynasty it came from, so I've been keeping it here. Su Hongba said, Little Qin, you don't like this thing, do you? It's only 100 yuan. You don't have to save money for this old man. Choose another good one. Lu Qigong glared at Su Hongba, but then said, Yes, Little Qin, even I can't see what this thing is. You'd better choose another one. Qin Haodong shook his head. In his eyes, even if all the things in the room were put together, they would not be comparable to 1/10,000th of this small sword. In the eyes of cultivators, this was definitely a priceless treasure. Mr. Lu, I'll choose it. Su Hongba shook his head and said, You're still too soft-hearted. It's not worth saving money for this old man. Lu Qigong also felt that this small sword was not worthy of Qin Haodong's life-saving grace. He said, Little Qin, this thing is really worthless. Why don't you choose another one? Qin Haodong said, No, Mr. Lu. I want it. It's a good thing, more precious than anything else. Lu Qigong asked in surprise, Little Qin, do you know what this is? Qin Haodong said, I don't know what it is, but I know it's a treasure. I took advantage of you this time. You said that. Why did you take advantage of me? I'm the one who took advantage of you. In Lu Qigong's opinion, this sensible young man was being polite to him, but he didn't know that Qin Haodong was serious. In Qin Haodong's eyes, this small sword was definitely a priceless treasure. He thought for a moment and said, Mr. Lu, I'll give this jade guanyin to you. As he spoke, he took out the jade crystal pendant he got from Shui's jewelry. There were 2 arrays engraved on it, one for exorcism and the other for gathering the sun. Originally, he just did it casually and hadn't thought about who to give it to. Today, he just happened to give it to Lu Qigong. This. You saved my life, and you still want to give me something. How embarrassing is that? Lu Qigong was an expert in antiques and had some knowledge about jade. After seeing this jade crystal pendant, he immediately realized that it was not an ordinary item. He quickly said, This thing is too expensive. I can't afford it. At this time, Zhu Chunmei took the jade crystal pendant and said, You old man, you're really stubborn. It's obvious that Little Qin gave it to Hui Hui. Young people are shy and embarrassed to say it directly, so he said it was for you. As she spoke, she stuffed the pendant into Su Hui's hand and said, Girl, you take it. Qin Haodong was speechless for a while. This old lady's imagination was too strong. Su Hui took the pendant in her hand and played with it. It was crystal clear and exquisite. The most important thing was that it made people feel very comfortable. Seeing that the misunderstanding was getting deeper and deeper, Qin Haodong quickly said, This pendant is really for Mr. Lu. It's a treasure given to me by a senior. As long as you wear it, you can shield all the evil yin qi within a radius of 10 meters. Not only can it protect the old man, but it can also protect their archaeological companions. In the past, Lu Qigong didn't believe in these metaphysical theories, but after experiencing this life-and-death disaster, he had completely believed it. After hearing Qin Haodong's words, he quickly said, Old woman, did you hear that? This is a gift for me. I can't give it to you when I work in the future. Su Hui also knew that she had misunderstood. She blushed and handed the pendant back to Lu Qigong. You old man, you even want to compete with your granddaughter for a pendant. Zhu Chunmei glared at Lu Qigong but didn't say anything more. Lu Qigong put the pendant on his body and said with some embarrassment, Little Qin, this thing is very valuable. Why don't you give me a number and I'll buy it? He had devoted his life to archaeology. He heard that this thing was useful for archaeology, so he was reluctant to give it back. Qin Haodong picked up the small sword in his hand and said, Old man, you think too much. This is my compensation for you. This jade crystal pendant was worth at least 100 million yuan in terms of money, but it couldn't be compared with this small sword in any case. Chapter 5:17. After giving the crystal pendant to Lu Qigong as compensation for the small sword, Qin Haodong left the Lu family. After sending him away, Zhu Chunmei said to Su Hui, Hui, I want to tell you that this young man is really good. You must seize the opportunity and don't miss it. Grandma, what are you talking about? He has a girlfriend. Su Hui was not stupid. Nailan Wushuang, Qi Wan, and Li Meiyu had been around Qin Haodong all day long. How could she not notice them? Zhu Chunmei said indifferently, that's nothing. I'm your granddaughter. What kind of boy can't match up to her? Just grab him. Su Hui did not speak and silently lowered her head. Since she was a child, countless boys had pursued her, but none of them had caught her eye. She was proud and felt that these men were not worthy of her. Now she was moved for the first time, but she had a feeling that she was not worthy of him. Qin Haodong was like a mountain in her heart. She could look up to him, but there was always a distance between them. In the Sun family of Shanghai, Sun Wei stood in front of Sun Shanshan with his neck tilted. Second miss, I've already figured out the situation. That guy is a freshman at the Shanghai Medical College. There are 4 or 5 beautiful women living in his house. Some are his classmates, some are his lovers, and there's also a little girl who is his goddaughter. Sun Shanshan frowned and said, these people have no direct relationship with him. Is it useful to kidnap them? Sun Wei said, it's useful. It must be useful. Second miss, you haven't seen how beautiful those women are. The more he spoke, the more excited he became. He had seen Nailan Wushuang and the others go out this morning. He had swallowed his saliva many times when he thought of the beautiful appearances of these women. However, he saw that Sun Shanshan's face was getting uglier and uglier, so he quickly said, of course, although these women are beautiful, they are still a little worse than Second Mississippi. After that, he secretly said in his heart, God, forgive me. I lied again. Sun Shanshan's expression eased a little and she said, since you think it's possible, then find a suitable opportunity to do it. Sun Wei said, I've been sending people to keep an eye on him. Just now, that guy left with a girl and didn't go home. We can do it now. Sun Shanshan said, go. You must do it cleanly. Don't leave any trouble behind. Don't worry, Second Mississippi. That brat isn't at home, so capturing a few women is a piece of cake. As long as we capture him as a hostage, he will obediently return the building to us. Then Sun Wei called more than 20 people with guns and drove straight to Qin Haodong's villa. Big brother, what are we going to do this time? Don't tell me he's still going to look for trouble with that kid? The one who asked the question was a bodyguard with a mustache. He was really scared by Qin Haodong. Thinking about it now, he felt a chill on his back. Look at you. Follow me, Brother Wei. What's there to be afraid of? Sun Wei raised his hand and slapped the bearded bodyguard's head. The man with the mustache felt extremely wronged. He thought to himself, you've already been turned into a bear by him, so why are you still pretending? Sun Wei added, but don't worry. We're not going to attack Qin Haodong this time. We're going to capture his woman. Hearing that they were not going to face Qin Haodong directly, these people secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Sun Wei said, let me tell you, that kid's women are all top-notch. They're even more beautiful than international models. As long as you can see or touch them, it's your lifetime's worth of good fortune. Hearing that there were beautiful women, these bodyguards immediately became excited. They all rubbed their fists and were waiting to show off their skills. At Qin Haodong's house, everyone was bored after dinner. At the suggestion of the little fellow, everyone changed into swimsuits and went to play in the pool. With the beautiful and lovely little fellow, the atmosphere at home was much more cheerful. From time to time, there were bursts of laughter coming from the pool. Sun Wei took his men to the door of Qin Haodong's house and asked the bodyguard who was guarding there. After confirming that Qin Haodong had not returned, he immediately rushed in with his men. When they came to the swimming pool and saw the faces of Lin Momo, Nalan Wushuang and the others in the pool, they all stood there like wooden chickens, drooling. Bikinis, long legs, sexy figures, beautiful faces, young women, queens, schoolgirls, sexy, pure and hot. This was simply a concentration camp of beautiful women. They could not imagine why there were so many super beautiful women in Qin Haodong's house. The little fellow was the first to find these intruders. She pointed at Sun Wei and the others and shouted, "Mama, look, there are bad guys." Everyone stopped and then they found Sun Wei and the bodyguards behind him. There were so many uninvited guests in the house all of a sudden. It was obvious that they were up to no good. Li Meiyu and Jia Shihan were shocked, but Nalan Wushuang, Qi Wan, and the others did not care. Lin Momo glanced at these people. She was now an expert at the third level of the Supreme Power Realm, so she did not take these people seriously. She asked coldly, "Who are you? Don't you know that this is a private house and it's illegal to come in at will?" Sun Wei came to his senses, wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth, and shouted arrogantly, "Illegal? I'm here to take people away. Come out, all of you. It'll be bad if you wait for me to take action." Lin Momo was about to get angry, but Qi Wan came to her side and said, "Sister, it's boring to stay here. Let me handle these guys." After that, she swayed her sexy body and walked out of the pool. She pretended to be shy and timid, and said to Sun Wei, "Brother, don't scare me. I'm very timid." Sun Wei swallowed hard again and said, "As long as you follow us obediently, there will be no trouble." As he spoke, his eyes kept wandering around the women's bodies. With so many beautiful women, it would be great to get any one of them in bed. Qi Wan walked in front of him and said in a sweet voice, "Brother, but I'm still afraid." Sun Wei was almost blinded by her white and tender skin. He said lewdly, "I'm here, don't be afraid. It's because you're here that I'm afraid. You're too ugly." Sun Wei was stunned. Before he could come to his senses, Qi Wan had already slapped his face. "Does your mother know that you look like a bear? And your neck is crooked? Is it convenient for others to slap you?" After a few slaps, Qi Wan kicked Sun Wei's lower abdomen and directly kicked him into the swimming pool. However, this guy didn't know how to swim. He almost choked to death before he could catch his breath. The other bodyguards were looking at the beauties. They didn't expect that the delicate woman in front of them would be so violent and hit them. Several bodyguards with guns hurriedly reached for their waists. But before they could take out their guns, Nalan Wushuang and Lin Momo also took action. They quickly put all these people on the ground and then kicked them into the swimming pool. After being beaten, these people lost the ability to move their hands and feet. They fell into the swimming pool and immediately drank. Fun, fun, fun. I'm going to water the mice, water the mice. The little fellow shouted excitedly. Qi Wan threw Sun Wei, who was half dead from drinking, on the shore and asked, "Tell me, who sent you here? What do you want?" When Sun Wei was about to speak, he spat out a mouthful of water again. He planned to sneak attack Qin Haodong when he was not at home, but he never expected that Qin Haodong's women were so powerful. They were not people they could mess with at all. He really didn't understand where this devil came from. How did the second lady provoke such a ruthless person? The other bodyguards were also pulled to the shore. They were all like toads who were filled with water, with their bellies bulging and spitting out water. At this time, Qin Haodong came in from outside and saw Sun Wei, who was spitting out water with his neck crooked. He frowned and said, "Why are you here again?" Lin Momo asked, "Haodong, do you know them?" "Who are they?" Qin Haodong said, "They are the lackeys of the second lady of the Sun family. These guys are really haunting us. Chi Wan said, "What should we do? Should we call the police? It's too troublesome. Let's beat them and throw them out." These were all people of the Sun family. Even if they were sent to the police station, they would be thrown out soon. It was better to vent their anger. Qin Haodong grabbed Sun Wei's arms and shook them gently. He dislocated Sun Wei's 2 shoulder joints and then kicked him out of the door. "Get out of here. This time I'll just break your arms. If I see you again, you won't be so lucky." After that, he kicked the bodyguards out of the door one after another and closed the door. Sun Wei crawled up from the ground and ran back with his men. Qin Haodong said goodbye to Lin Momo and the little fellow and then hurried back to his room. He was eager to figure out what this small sword was. After closing the door, he took the small sword in his palm and played with it for a long time, but he still couldn't find a clue. The black seal covering the small sword was very strange. Even with 500 years of experience in the cultivation world, he couldn't recognize what kind of seal it was. He tried a dozen methods in succession, but still couldn't shake the seal. If he couldn't unlock the seal, he couldn't crack the secret of the small sword, which made Qin Haodong feel helpless. He held the small sword in his palm, slowly closed his eyes, and used his spirit to feel the seal. Darkness, unbreakable, powerful, and gloomy. This was the feeling that the seal gave his spirit. What should I do? Since he couldn't find a way to unlock the seal, he would try to break it by force. He made several reinforcement formations in the room, then took out the 1,000 blades and slashed at the seal outside the small sword. With a crisp sound, the small sword was still the same. There was no change, and the weird seal didn't even fluctuate. On the blade of the 1,000 blades, there was a rice grain-sized gap. Although the 1,000 blades was not a magic weapon, it was absolutely sharp. Qin Haodong didn't expect it to be damaged so quickly. However, it could also be seen that this small sword was definitely not an ordinary weapon. It could hurt the 1,000 blades when it was passively defending. How powerful would it be if it faced it head-on? Thinking of this, Qin Haodong's heart became more and more itchy. So far, he hadn't had a good weapon. If he could unlock the weird seal, it was very likely that he would get a magic weapon. Since violence didn't work, he would try other methods. Using water wouldn't work, so he would try using fire. Thinking of fire, Qin Haodong suddenly thought of something. Suddenly, a thought occurred to him. His daughter's phoenix fire could burn anything, and it was the nemesis of all kinds of dark magic techniques. The weird seal obviously had a dark attribute. Maybe the little fellow could unlock it. Thinking of this, he immediately rushed out excitedly and took the little fellow out of the pool. The little fellow said, "Papa, I haven't played enough. Why did you bring me back?" Chapter 5:18. I'll play with the aunties later. I need to do Daddy a favor now. Qin Haodong said and took the little fellow to the basement. This was the alchemy room he had planned before, and the room was surrounded by a defensive formation. Putting down the little fellow, he took out the alchemy furnace and threw the little sword into the furnace. The little fellow asked curiously, "Papa, what are you doing?" Qin Haodong said, "Tang Tang, you just need to spit fire into the furnace like alchemy." "Okay, Papa, I haven't played alchemy with you for a long time. You're not at home, and Mama won't let me spit fire. Now I can finally have a good time." After that, the little fellow opened her mouth excitedly, and a line of fire rushed directly into the furnace. From the outside, the flame of the phoenix fire seemed to be much more restrained than before, turning from a pillar of fire into a line of fire. However, Qin Haodong could feel that this line of fire contained extremely powerful energy, and it was much more wonderful than before. His daughter was indeed a phoenix. In such a short time, the flame had made great progress. After the phoenix fire rushed into the furnace, the little sword, which had been lying at the bottom of the furnace, suddenly jumped up as if it were alive, as if it wanted to stay away from the hot flame. But at the moment, it was trapped in the furnace. How could it escape? Soon, it was surrounded by the phoenix fire. Seeing the reaction of the little sword, Qin Haodong was delighted. It seemed that this weird seal was really afraid of the phoenix fire. His method was very likely to break the seal. After the phoenix fire surrounded the little sword, it began to burn fiercely. A cloud of black qi rose from the sword and began to fight against the flame of the phoenix fire. But the phoenix fire was not an ordinary flame. It was extremely hot. Soon the black qi was slowly suppressed and gradually shrank to the surface of the sword in the burning flame. Qin Haodong said to the little fellow, "Tang Tang, add more fire." "Okay, Papa." The little fellow agreed and spat out a cloud of strong phoenix fire into the furnace again. This time, the black qi finally couldn't stand it anymore. It began to dissipate and let out a miserable cry. About 5 minutes later, the black gas was gradually burned out by the phoenix fire. Then, there was a slight cracking sound, and the seal broke. Immediately after, a dragon's roar sounded, and a golden ancient sword appeared in the alchemy furnace. Success, there is indeed a hidden treasure. Qin Haodong hurriedly asked the little fellow to put away the flame, and then opened the furnace. The spiritual ancient sword flew out of the furnace and landed in front of Qin Haodong. "Tang Tang, go play with Mom and the others." Qin Haodong let the little fellow out of the basement, and then reached out to hold the ancient sword in his hand, carefully examining it. The sword was about 3 feet long, and the hilt was 1 foot long. It looked very simple and unadorned, and it exuded a powerful pressure. One side of the sword was engraved with the sun, moon, and stars, while the other side was engraved with mountains, rivers, grass, and trees. The hilt of the sword was engraved with 2 ancient characters, Xian Yuan. Qin Haodong was overjoyed. It turned out to be the most famous Xian Yuan sword in Wuxia. According to legend, the Xian Yuan sword was the sword of the Yellow Emperor, the sword of the Emperor. It was also the sword of the divine Tao, containing boundless power. It was a sword used to slay demons and exterminate devils. It was forged by the first mountain's copper, forged by the Yellow Emperor. In Chinese legends, the Yellow Emperor used this sword to cut off Qiu's head when he fought him. Later, the Yellow Emperor ascended to heaven with 3,000 women, and the sword was lost. Qin Haodong didn't expect that it would sit in his hand today. At this moment, a light rose from the sword and finally turned into a middle-aged man in midair. The man put his hands behind his back and was dressed in cyan clothes. Although he was only a remnant soul, Qin Haodong could still feel his powerful momentum. "Young man, from now on, you are the owner of the Xian Yuan sword. Since you have my Xian Yuan sword, you have to shoulder the responsibility of protecting Wuxia in the future. Don't let the divine sword down and let the alien race invade our land." After that, the remnant soul began to slowly dissipate. Senior, Qin Haodong still had many questions to ask, but the figure of the middle-aged man had disappeared into the air. He sighed. It seemed that the Xian Yuan sword had been sealed for too long. The divine sense left by the Yellow Emperor was seriously eroded, and could only leave such a simple message. Although he was surprised to get the divine sword, he also had many questions in his mind. Didn't the legendary Yellow Emperor Xian Yuan ascend to heaven? Why was the Xian Yuan sword sealed? In addition, who was the alien race mentioned by the Yellow Emperor? Did it refer to the Qiyu Jiuli tribe or someone else? Where did this weird seal come from? Who had the guts to seal the divine sword of the Yellow Emperor Xian Yuan? Now it seemed that the Yellow Emperor did not ascend to heaven, and things were not as simple as the legend said. However, this mystery from thousands of years ago could not be solved and could only be kept in his heart. He turned his attention to the Xian Yuan sword again. Generally speaking, it was difficult to subdue a divine sword with a master. But now that the Yellow Emperor Xian Yuan had completely erased his divine sense from the sword, it became a sword without a master, which was much simpler. Qin Haodong cut his index finger and let a drop of blood fall on the blade of the Shenyuan sword. After a long time, Lin Momo panted and pushed Qin Haodong's big hands away. She said weakly, "There are still a lot of people outside. Don't mess around." Qin Haodong also knew that it was not the time to relieve the pain of lovesickness. He could only kiss Lin Momo's red lips gently, and then reluctantly separated from her. "How's it going today?" Lin Momo tidied up her messy clothes and said, "It's going well. Half of the people of the group have arrived. The other half and Saber will arrive today. The registration procedures have been completed today. The decoration company has already moved in and started the decoration. According to the plan, it is expected to officially open in 10 days. Qin Haodong said, "Good. It's very efficient. When we finish the business of Lin's group, we will start to work on Tangmen Pharmaceutical." Lin Momo said with some worry, "Haodong, do you think it's possible to open Lin's jewelry opposite Shue's jewelry? It's a bit stressful." Qin Haodong smiled slightly. "As long as Lin's jewelry enters Shanghai, we will be standing opposite Shue's jewelry. No matter where you open it, we will still be enemies. It's better to open it face to face. And I have already gone to see Shue's jewelry. The overall feeling I have is that it is luxurious on the outside, but rotten on the inside. Although it is very famous, the internal management is chaotic, and the quality of the products is not high. Especially the jade products, the price of the same level is double that of Lin's group. The management can't keep up, and there is no price advantage. In the end, Lin's group will win." Hearing Qin Haodong's words, Lin Momo was much more confident. "Haodong, it's great to have you. If it weren't for you, I really don't know when I could lead Lin's group to Shanghai. Then how are you going to thank me?" Qin Haodong said with a smirk on his face. He was a little tempted again. At this moment, there was a rush of footsteps outside the door. "Papa, I'm here. I'm sleepy and want to sleep." The little fellow pushed the door open and entered. Qin Haodong picked her up, turned her around a few times, and put her on the bed. He said, "Sleep if you're sleepy." The little fellow took his hand and said, "Papa, I want you to sleep with me, just like when we were at home." Qin Haodong said, "Tang Tang, be good. Papa has something to do. It will be a while before I can come to accompany you and Mama." After comforting the little fellow, he left Lin Momo's room. At this time, the TV in the living room had been turned off, and the living room was silent. Everyone went back to their rooms to sleep. Qin Haodong returned to his room and opened the door. He was shocked to see Li Meiyu in a pink spaghetti-strap nightgown sitting at the head of his bed. Her smooth long legs on the bed exuded a tempting luster. He looked at the decoration of the room and made sure that he had not gone to the wrong place. He asked, "Why are you in my room?" Li Meiyu said with a sullen face, "I haven't asked you yet. Where have you been?" Qin Haodong said, "I went to Sister Lin's room to talk about something." "Talk about what?" Li Meiyu stood up and came to him. She stared into his eyes and asked, "What else can we talk about?" "It's about the Sun family's building." Li Meiyu said, "Why do I feel that the relationship between you is not normal? Sister Momo looks at you differently. Is there something you're hiding from me?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "You're overthinking it. I'm too handsome. Don't you find that Sister Wushuang and Wan look at me differently?" Li Meiyu thought it was true. Then she asked, "When are you going to start chasing me?" Chapter 519. Qin Haodong was a little confused. "Pursue you?" "Yes, you said you wanted to pursue me. When will you start?" Qin Haodong didn't expect the little girl to ask such a question. He was stunned for a moment and then said, "Yes. Yes, I said that. Haven't I already started to pursue you?" "When did you start?" Why didn't I know? I invited you to live in my house. If I didn't pursue you, why would I invite you? That doesn't count. Li Meiyu said discontentedly, there are 5 big and 1 small beauties living in your house. How can it prove that you are pursuing me? This question really puzzled the medical sage. From the bottom of his heart, he didn't want to pursue Li Meiyu. It was just for the convenience of completing the task of protecting her. Then what do you think is a pursuit? Do you need me to teach you how to pursue a girl? I don't care. Anyway, from tomorrow on, you will pursue me. If you are not satisfied, I will find someone else. After saying that, Li Meiyu walked out angrily and slammed the door. Qin Haodong patted his forehead. Why did this little girl become so serious? He turned around and said to the window, come in. Don't hide. He. How did you know I was coming? As soon as he finished speaking, the window opened. First, a snow-white and smooth long leg came in from the outside, and then Qi Wan jumped in from the outside. She stepped forward and put her arms around Qin Haodong's neck. She patted his cheek and said in an accusatory tone, as a bodyguard, you're really going to steal the girl you're supposed to protect as a bodyguard. It turned out that she had been hiding outside for a long time. She had been watching the show and clearly heard the conversation between the two. It's all because of you two. Why do you want me to be a bodyguard? If I don't trick her into coming to my house, who will guard outside the dormitory 24 hours a day? Qin Haodong complained, you two came to Shanghai without telling me. If I had known that you would come to complete the task together, I wouldn't have had to lie. Is it a lie? I think it looks like it's a real show. Qi Wan said, you are really a playboy. You have only been in Shanghai for a few days and you have already attracted so many women. How can I rest assured? Do you think I want to? I really don't have much freedom as a bodyguard. I'll go back and tell Sister Wushuang later to adjust my appearance fee to 10 million a day. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Qi Wan curled her lips and said, do you think the bodyguard task is delaying you from hitting on Miss Zhou? With such a beautiful and sexy young lady of the Qi family by my side, how could I have the mood to look at the young lady of the Zhou family? Qin Haodong looked at Qi Weiner up and down. You came to my room dressed so sexily tonight. Are you trying to seduce me and make a mistake? Qi Weiner was wearing a snow-white silk nightgown, which exposed her sexy collarbone and a large area of skin. The bottom part could barely cover her buttocks. The most important thing was that it was a vacuum inside, and the looming feeling was simply captivating. Qi Wan threw herself into his arms and hugged his neck tightly. She said in a sweet voice, then do it. Do you dare? Well, you win. I don't dare. Qin Haodong licked his lips and asked, why did you come to my room in the middle of the night? We meet every day, but I have to pretend to be a stranger. I can't even talk to you properly. I don't like this feeling very much. Sister Nailin went to take a bath just now, so I secretly came to see you. I'm your girlfriend. While speaking, Qi Weiner's body was closer to him. Under the strong pressure, the 2 hemispheres of her chest rose high. Her pretty face was also close to his face, and her breath was like orchids. Just in Lin Momo's room, Qin Haodong had been ignited in his body. It was not easy to suppress it, but now it was aroused again. He smiled bitterly and said, you little girl, don't play with fire, okay? I'll play with it. What do you think? Then, Qi Weiner kissed him fiercely. After a long time, they separated. Qin Haodong gasped and said, if you keep doing this, it's easy to draw fire to yourself. Burn me if you can. Qi Weiner's coquettish eyes seemed to be dripping water. Are you still a man? Why don't you have any reaction at all? Qin Haodong suddenly became angry and leaned forward. How do you know that I have no reaction? The 2 of them were originally close to each other. Qi Weiner clearly felt the changes in Qin Haodong's body. Her cheeks suddenly turned red, and she reached out and patted there. Rogue! Oh, this time, she used a little more strength. Qin Haodong bent down with a painful face. Qi Weiner was shocked. She quickly supported him and asked, "What's wrong? You have the nerve to ask. Don't you know that this is the most vulnerable place for a man?" This really made the second master, who was full of passion, feel very painful. Even if he was a master at the third level of the supreme power realm, this place was still extremely vulnerable, and it was still unguarded. "What should I do? Let me help you rub it," Qi Weiner said and reached out her hand there again. "You demon, if I don't be a beast, then I'll be worse than a beast." Qin Haodong couldn't control himself anymore. He picked up Qi Weiner and threw her on the big bed next to him. Then, he pounced on her. Qi Weiner had long been deeply in love with Qin Haodong. Was this moment finally coming? She slowly closed her eyes and tightly held Qin Haodong's neck with her hands. Just when the conditions were right, a series of knocks came from the door. "Open the door! Open the door!" The two of them, who were full of passion, suddenly separated as if they had been electrocuted. They looked at each other and Qin Haodong whispered, "It's Li Meiyu. Why is this girl back again? It's all your fault. You flirt with other girls everywhere." Qi Weiner put on her nightdress again and kissed Qin Haodong's lips gently. "Remember, this is what you owe me. You have to pay it back sooner or later." After that, she jumped out of the window and returned to her room along the wall like a dexterous gecko in the night. Qin Haodong got up from the bed, shook his head helplessly, and reached out to open the door. "Madam, what are you doing here instead of sleeping in the middle of the night?" Li Meiyu stood at the door and said, "Why are you so slow? Are you doing something shameful?" Qin Haodong said helplessly, "Sister, I'm going to sleep." "What shameful thing can I do alone?" "It's shameful if you do it alone," Li Meiyu said as she pushed him away and walked into the room. "What the hell are you doing? Don't tell me you want to sleep here. In your dreams. I just left my phone here." Li Meiyu came to the bedside and took the phone in her hand. When she turned around and was about to leave, her eyes suddenly fixed on Qin Haodong. "What are you looking at?" Qin Haodong asked with a little nervousness. "Why do you have long hair?" Li Meiyu said as she pinched a long hair from his head. "You're not hiding a woman in the room, are you?" she said as she looked around the room vigilantly. "I want to hide a mistress, but I need someone to be willing to." Fortunately, Qin Haodong was not nervous after Qi Weiner left. He said, "There are so many women in the family. It's not a big deal if I have long hair. You pass. Don't forget to chase me tomorrow." Li Meiyu glared at him and stepped out of the room. Qin Haodong shook his head. He didn't expect that this girl would call him seriously. It was a little difficult to deal with. The next day, they went to the medical college together. The morning passed. Seeing that Qin Haodong still had no reaction, Li Meiyu's face became more and more ugly. "What does this guy mean? Is it so difficult for him to chase me?" She was the eldest daughter of the Li family in Hong Kong. When she was in Hong Kong, there were rows of men chasing after her. Now she offered him a chance, but he didn't want it. As long as he said something, such as sending flowers, asking her out for a movie, or having a meal, she would agree. Why didn't he say anything? She was angry. Su Hui said, "Meiyu, let's go for lunch." Every day at noon, they went to the cafeteria together with Naylan Wushuang, Qi Weiner, and the 4 people from dormitory 508. Not long after they walked out of the classroom, they saw a handsome male student standing on the side of the road with flowers in his hand. This guy was wearing a famous brand suit and a watch worth hundreds of thousands of yuan. Although he was not as handsome as Qin Haodong, he was still passable. "Isn't this young Master Feng Bowie of our school?" Which girl is he going to send flowers to? Oh, another girl is going to suffer. Many beautiful girls have been spoiled by this guy over the years, it's none of your business. He is rich. We poor guys can't compare with him. In the midst of the discussion, many students gathered around, waiting to see which female student Phong Bowie was going to attack. Li Meiyu pouted and kicked the stones on the road as she walked, ignoring the pair of limited edition high-heeled shoes on her feet that were worth more than 100,000 yuan. What's wrong? You look unhappy. Su Hui asked. No, I'm fine. Li Meiyu said, her face still gloomy. At this moment, a bouquet of bright roses suddenly appeared in front of her. Li Meiyu, can we get to know each other? Li Meiyu raised her head and Phong Bowie's smiling face appeared in front of her. Who are you? I don't know you. Li Meiyu said angrily. My name is Phong Bowie. I'm a junior at our medical college. I'm your senior. Phong Bowie handed the bouquet of red roses to Li Meiyu with both hands. These beautiful flowers are for you. I hope you can accept them. Li Meiyu was going to refuse, but she saw Qin Haodong behind her talking and laughing with Nalan Wushuang and Qi Wan, her. She suddenly became angry and took the roses. Even if you don't chase after me and send me flowers, there are others who will send them to me. I'm not on wood. Phong Bowie didn't know that Li Meiyu took the flowers because she was angry. He was happy. It seemed that a little girl couldn't resist his charm. Meiyu, can I have the honor to have lunch with you? As he said that, a gentlemanly smile appeared on his face. Meiyu, are you crazy? Why do you want flowers from anyone? Su Hui whispered in Li Meiyu's ear and then said to Phong Bowie, I don't have time. I've already made an appointment with Meiyu to have lunch with her classmates. She grew up in the medical college and knew Phong Bowie's character very well. She directly refused for Li Meiyu. Phong Bowie's expression changed, but in order to maintain his gentlemanly image, he smiled and said, that's a pity. Can we have dinner together tonight? Yes. This time, Li Meiyu agreed before Su Hui could speak. After that, she secretly glanced at Qin Haodong. She didn't really want to have dinner with Phong Bowie, but she wanted to see if this guy cared about her. Chapter 520. However, she was disappointed. Although Qin Haodong stopped, he was still talking to Nalan Wushuang and did not pay much attention to her. Seeing that Li Meiyu really agreed, Phong Bowie was overjoyed and said, well, I'll wait for you at the school gate after school today. See you there. He waved his hand to Li Meiyu and turned to leave. At this moment, he was overjoyed. Although he had slept with countless women over the years, it was the first time that he had slept with such a wonderful girl. He had thought that he would have to pursue her several times, but he did not expect that he would succeed so easily. It's over. Another little sheep has fallen into the wolf's mouth. It's a pity that such a beautiful girl is going to be defiled. Nowadays, the rich are the masters. All the good cabbages are taken by pigs. The students gathered around also dispersed and walked to the cafeteria in front. Su Hui said, Meiyu, how can you agree with him so casually? Do you know him? Li Meiyu said, he is very handsome. Why can't I go since he invited me? After that, she glanced at Qin Haodong again. Su Hui was very smart. How could she not see through Li Meiyu's thoughts? She could not help sighing in her heart. It seemed that she was not the only girl who liked him. At this time, Qin Haodong came over and asked, what's wrong? Who was that just now? Su Hui said, his name is Phong Bowie. He is a famous playboy in our medical college. He changes girlfriends faster than he changes clothes. He just sent flowers to Meiyu and Meiyu also promised to have dinner with him tonight. Well, let's go to dinner first. Qin Haodong grabbed the bouquet of roses worth thousands of yuan from Li Meiyu's arms and threw it into the trash can next to him. Hey, why did you throw away my flowers? Although Li Meiyu complained, she was very happy in her heart. It seemed that this guy still cared about her. Qin Haodong did not explain and directly took her into the cafeteria. Go home tonight and don't go out with that guy. Li Meiyu said, why do you care about me? Who are you to me? She thought that as long as Qin Haodong said, I'm your boyfriend and you have to listen to me, she would not go and stand Feng Bowie up. But the result disappointed her. Qin Haodong said, that guy is up to no good. It's not safe for you to go there. I don't care. Whether I'm safe or not has nothing to do with you. Li Meiyu shook off Qin Haodong's hand and went into the cafeteria. The whole afternoon passed and Qin Haodong didn't say anything to Li Meiyu, which made her very disappointed. She became more and more nervous when school was about to end. This detestable bastard, why didn't he persuade me? Does he really want me to go out to eat with someone else? Does he really not care at all? She was now in a dilemma. She vowed to go out on a date, but she really didn't want to go, but she couldn't put down her face if she didn't go. It doesn't matter. If you don't chase after me, I'll show you that there are plenty of people chasing after me. When the bell rang, Li Mei walked toward the school gate in a fit of pique. After walking for a while, she felt that someone was following her. She turned around and saw Qin Haodong behind her. Feeling sweet in her heart, she asked, why are you following me? Didn't we agree to go out to eat? I'll go with you. You don't need my help. Qin Haodong had no choice. After all, this girl was under his protection. He couldn't let her go out alone. She wants to date me. Who are you to me? Why do you want to follow me? Qin Haodong said, I just don't have a place to eat. You can take me with you. I'm your bodyguard. Well, then you can follow me, but don't talk too much. Li Meiyu breathed a sigh of relief. She was very willing to take Qin Haodong with her. On the one hand, she felt safe with this man. On the other hand, she could let Qin Haodong see how others pursued her. It would be too late if she didn't seize the chance. Qin Haodong smiled and followed her out of the school gate. A BMW 7 Series was already parked at the school gate. Feng Bowie was waiting in front of the car with a smile on his face. Seeing Li Meiyu walking out of the school gate, he immediately greeted her, Meiyu, you're here. Then he saw Qin Haodong next to her and asked in surprise, who is this? Li Meiyu said, he's my classmate, Qin Haodong. Is it okay for me to take him with me? It's okay, it's okay. After all, this was his first date with Li Meiyu. It was normal for her to take someone with her. Besides, this guy looked like a bumpkin at first glance. He would get rid of him later. Then he turned around and opened the car door. He originally wanted Li Meiyu to sit in the passenger seat, but he didn't expect that Qin Haodong would sit in the back seat and Li Meiyu would sit in the back seat. Feng Bowie glared at him fiercely. He suppressed the anger in his heart and drove to the front of a 5-star hotel. After parking the car, he walked into the hotel lobby with Qin Haodong. The lobby manager trotted to Feng Bowie and said with a flattering face, young master, you're here. Feng Bowie nodded and turned to Li Meiyu and said, this 5-star hotel is the property of our Feng family. You can order whatever you want later. Our chefs are all national super chefs. Their skills are very good. Originally, he wanted to show off his wealth and superiority. Later, this little girl would naturally throw herself into his arms. But the result disappointed him. Both Li Meiyu and Qin Haodong reacted very calmly, as if neither of them took this 5-star hotel seriously. It must be because they had never been to a 5-star hotel and didn't know what it meant. Feng Bowie gave himself an answer and then said to the manager, are all my friends here? They're all here. They've already arrived in the private room. They're waiting for you, young master. The manager said as he led the three of them into a super luxurious private room. At this time, there were already 7 or 8 people sitting in the private room. When they saw Feng Bowie, these people immediately stood up and greeted him warmly. A young man with a big gold chain and a crew cut said, "Bowie, who is this beautiful girl? Is she your new girlfriend? Introduce her to us quickly." He was one of Feng Bowie's best friends. Gung Jun. Feng Bowie said, "Let me introduce her to you. This is the campus belle of our Devil Medical College, Miss Li Meiyu." He was skillful in his speech. He did not deny his relationship with Li Meiyu, which was equivalent to admitting that she was his girlfriend. At the same time, he flattered Li Meiyu by giving her the title of campus belle. Li Meiyu frowned slightly. She had attended all kinds of large parties in Hong Kong. How could she not know Feng Bowie's little trick? But she did not expose it on the spot. Feng Bowie continued, "Meiyu, let me introduce you to my good friends. This is the son of the deputy mayor of Dongqing district. This is the young master of Zhang's group. This is his family's oil industry." After introducing these people one by one, he said, "My friends are all famous in Shanghai. As long as you have any problem in Shanghai, you can ask them. There's nothing they can't do." A young man wearing glasses said proudly, "Yes, there's nothing we can't do in Shanghai. You can say whatever you want, and they will respect us." He was also one of Feng Bowie's best friends. His name was Zhang Lei. His family was in the steel business and he had some underworld background. After that, they sat down together. As for Qin Haodong next to them, Feng Bowie deliberately ignored him. In his opinion, in this kind of atmosphere, as long as Qin Haodong was sensible, he would take the initiative to leave. Qin Haodong did not care about these people at all. His purpose was to protect Li Meiyu. As for these lowly people, he did not care about them at all. These people's attention was focused on Li Meiyu. They kept showing off the superiority of their small circle and praised Feng Bowie to the sky. Feng Bowie had a complacent look on his face. These friends of his were still very tactful and knew when to say what to say. But there was something that made him dissatisfied. Li Meiyu's attention was not on him at all. From time to time, she looked at the toy boy next to him. Li Meiyu was also very unhappy. This guy seemed to really come to eat. All his attention was on the food in front of him. He did not stop eating and did not even look at her. During the meal, most of the food went into Qin Haodong's stomach. He ordered a total of 5 bottles of Bordeaux red wine, and he drank 3 of them. Although Feng Bowie's friends kept bringing up the topic, Li Meiyu was not in a good mood, so the atmosphere of the meal was always a little lacking. Chapter 521. Well, room 2 it is. After Feng Bowie finished speaking, he turned to Li Meiyu and said, "I'm sorry. In the past, when I came here, I always used the best private room number 1. But today, Brother Wolf is receiving guests, so I have no choice but to use private room number 2. You call room number 2 a grievance?" One of Gung Jun's men shouted, "Master Feng, I heard that the minimum consumption of room number 10 in Wild Wolf KTV is 10,000 yuan. Is that true?" "Of course. Don't you see what kind of place this is? It's the best KTV in Shanghai." Feng Bowie said proudly. "Master Feng, who is the Brother Wolf you just mentioned? Is it the Brother Wolf who dominates the underground world of the Xiqing district?" Feng Bowie said, "Yes. How many Brother Wolves are there in Shanghai? If others dared to call themselves this name, they would have been drowned in the river. Oh my God, it's really this Brother Wolf. I heard that when Wolf made his debut, he used 2 big knives and killed 18 opponents in a row. That's how he became a famous figure in the underground world of Shanghai. I heard that Brother Wolf is 2 meters tall. He learned Kung Fu in the Shaolin Temple and no one is his opponent. I heard that in the underground world of Shanghai, Brother Wolf can definitely be ranked in the top 3. No one dares to provoke him. Okay, stop arguing. It's a joke. Gung Jun said, "What kind of person is Brother Wolf? It's not as simple as you say. He has a backer, or he would have been arrested long ago." Zhang Lei said, "That's true. I heard that Brother Wolf is well liked by both the underworld and the white world. No one dares to provoke him. You can ask Master Feng if you don't believe me." Everyone's eyes turned to Feng Bowie. "Master Feng, have you seen Brother Wolf before?" Feng Bowie said proudly, "Of course. My father once had a meal with Brother Wolf and I was with him at that time. If I had nothing to do with Brother Wolf, how do you think I could get the first private room? The first 3 private rooms here can't be obtained just by having money. The key is to have a reputation and social status." Speaking of this, he glanced at Li Meiyu proudly again. Being able to get to know Brother Wolf would definitely make this girl look at him in a new light. However, he was disappointed again. At this moment, Li Meiyu's eyes were locked on Qin Haodong's face. Qin Haodong was admiring his long-legged sister everywhere, as if he didn't hear what they said at all. He snorted and said, "Let's go." Under the manager's lead, they arrived at private room number 2. Although it was not the best private room in Wild Blue Wolf, it was still extremely spacious, at least 70 to 80 square meters. Not long after they entered the door, the 7 or 8 little girls that Zhang Lei called also rushed over. These people were not old, and most of them looked like high school girls. However, all of them wore heavy makeup and wore revealing clothes. Some of them even had cigarettes in their mouths. They looked like gangsters. "Come on, everyone except Mr. Feng and Miss Meiyu can have one." Zhang Lei was very good at dealing with people. He directly drew Feng Bowie and Li Meiyu as a couple, and then assigned a little girl to each of the others. According to Feng Bowie's instructions, 2 girls were assigned to Qin Haodong, one on his left and the other on his right. Seeing that Qin Haodong was handsome, the 2 little girls immediately stuck to him like beautiful snakes. However, Qin Haodong waved his hand and asked them to sit next to him. He said lightly, "Play by yourself. I'm not interested in you." After that, he grabbed a bottle of Royal Salute in front of him, raised his head, and drank it up. Damn, how can he drink like this? Feng Bowie and the others were dumbfounded. This was a top-notch Royal Salute that cost more than 10,000 yuan, and this guy drank it up in the blink of an eye. So far, all of them had spent less than Qin Haodong alone. The most annoying thing was that he put down the bottle, shook his head, and said, "This wine is tasteless. It doesn't taste good." Gung Jun hurried forward and took the other bottle of Royal Salute. If they did not hurry up, they might not have any more to drink. At the same time, these people were also very strange. This gigolo boy had drunk almost 3 bottles of red wine, but now he seemed to be fine, and he did not seem to be drunk at all. "Meiyu, let's have a toast." Feng Bowie raised his glass and said to Li Meiyu. "I'm sorry, senior. I really can't drink." Li Meiyu remembered the lesson of getting drunk that night. Although she was angry with Qin Haodong today, she did not drink a sip of wine. Feng Bowie frowned. It had been a whole night. Although he tried his best to show off, it seemed that he had made no progress in front of this girl. "Well, you can do whatever you want. I'll have a toast." He drank up the wine in a glass, then reached out his hand and said, "Meiyu, dance with me. You can't refuse this time, can you?" Well, Li Meiyu had long known that this guy was not kind to her. If she danced with him in this dark environment, she would inevitably be taken advantage of by him. However, it would be a little unreasonable if she did not dance with him. After all, he had invited her to dinner and karaoke tonight. Suddenly, she thought of something and said, "Senior, I'm sorry. I have to go to the bathroom first." Then she hurried out of the private room and went to the bathroom. Looking at her back, Feng Bowie's eyes flashed with a touch of anger. "Little girl, let's see if you can run away from me." Li Meiyu hid in the bathroom for a while. She could not stay here forever. She washed her hands and went back to the private room. However, before she reached the door of the private room, a fat drunkard came toward her. The drunkard was a big fat man who weighed more than 100 kilograms. He was drunk, but when he saw Li Meiyu, his eyes lit up and he reached out to block her way. "Little girl, accompany me tonight. How much is it for one night?" Li Meiyu did not expect that she would be treated as a prostitute. She frowned and said angrily, "Damn fat pig, get out of my way. You be *tch, how dare you scold me? I'm going to *ck you today." As the drunkard spoke, he suddenly rushed at Li Meiyu. Li Meiyu quickly dodged to the side, but it was not very convenient for her to move in high heels. Although she dodged, the drunkard grabbed her arm and held her in his arms. Li Meiyu suddenly panicked and hurriedly shouted, "Qin Haodong, help." Qin Haodong was sitting in the private room drinking. Although the KTV was extremely noisy, his six senses were so sharp that he immediately heard Li Meiyu's cry for help. He kicked the door open and rushed out in an instant. At this time, Feng Bowie also heard Li Meiyu's cry for help, so he rushed out immediately. At this time, Li Meiyu struggled to break free from the drunkard and nervously hid behind Qin Haodong. Although Qin Haodong and the others came out, the drunkard did not intend to give up at all. He staggered over and shouted as he walked, "Little girl, you can't run away today. I'm going to *ck you." Feng Bowie's eyes lit up. It seemed like God wanted to help him by giving him a chance to be a hero and save the damsel in distress. Thinking of this, he did not hesitate at all. He rushed forward and kicked the drunkard's stomach hard. Seeing that he had kicked the drunkard, Gung Jun, Zhang Lei and the others naturally did not hesitate. They rushed up together and punched and kicked the drunkard. Seeing that the fight was almost over, Feng Bowie asked the others to step aside. He stepped forward and said to the drunkard, "Boy, keep your eyes open in the future. There are some people you can't afford to offend." The drunkard's nose and mouth were bleeding, but he was half sober. He struggled to get up from the ground, pointed at Feng Bowie and said angrily, "Boy, how dare you hit me? Wait and see." "Ha ha ha." Feng Bowie laughed arrogantly and said, "It's really interesting. How dare you yell at me in Shanghai? My name is Feng Bowie, and I'm in VIP room number 2. If you have the guts, come and find me. I'll take on both sides." After that, he spat at the drunkard and then went back to the room with his people. He looked like a general who had won a battle. After returning to the room, he asked Li Meiyu, "Meiyu, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Li Meiyu shook her head. She regretted coming out today. "That's good. Have a glass of wine to calm yourself down." Feng Bowie handed a glass of red wine to Li Meiyu. Finally, he drank up the wine in his glass. At this time, his friends all surrounded him and said, "Master Feng, you were so fierce just now. Young Master Feng, you were really too fierce just now. That kick almost made that fatty faint, of course. Don't you know who Master Feng is? There is no one in Shanghai that Master Feng doesn't dare to beat." These people were all flattering him, but there was also a relatively timid person who asked, "Master Feng, do you think that guy will come back to make trouble for us?" Gung Jun said, "What are you talking about? Don't you know who Master Feng is? That guy is just bluffing. How can he really dare to come back? Otherwise, Master Feng will break his legs." Feng Bowie said, "Xiao Jun is right. Based on my relationship with Brother Wolf, who dares to come here to make trouble for me?" Zhang Lei also said, "That's right. Whoever dares to make trouble for Master Feng must be tired of living. Come on, let's cheer for Master Feng's bravery together. Cheers." Then, these people raised their glasses and drank up. In the private room next door, a middle-aged man with tattoos was sitting on the sofa and drinking red wine. Behind him stood a coquettish woman, who kept massaging his shoulders with her hands. There were also two beautiful women in revealing clothes in front of him. They were massaging his legs, and there were more than a dozen tough-looking gangsters standing next to them. Even the ancient emperors could not compare to them. "Brother Wolf, have a grape. It's so sweet." Another woman next to him brought a peeled grape to Wolf. Tsang Lang opened its mouth and ate the grape. At this moment, the door was slammed open and a man stumbled in from the outside. It was the drunkard who had just been beaten up. Looking at the drunkard with blood all over his face, Wolf's face suddenly sank. He said coldly, "Brother, what's going on? Who beat you up like this?" "It's a group of bastards. They're in private room number 2. The drunkard gritted his teeth and said, "Cousin, you must help me get revenge. Don't worry, no one can bully my brother here." Wolf's face was so gloomy that it seemed like it was about to drip water. This drunkard was his cousin, who had just come to Shanghai from his hometown yesterday. As a result, he was beaten up in his own territory. If the news got back to his hometown, how could he show his face? He waved his hand to the side and a bald gangster walked over. "Brother Wolf, do you want me to teach those bastards a lesson?" Wolf said with a sinister expression, "No need. Go and bring those people here. I want to see who has 3 heads and 6 arms and dares to behave atrociously in my territory." "Okay, Brother Wolf, I'll go now." After saying that, the bald guy rushed out of the private room with his men. In private room number 2, Feng Bowie and the others had just put down their wine glasses when they heard the door being kicked open. Then, a big bald guy rushed in with his men. Chapter 522. Li Meiyu trembled when she saw the bald man. She grabbed Qin Haodong's arm tightly and said nervously, "Haodong, this is the bald man from that night." It turned out that the bald man was the one she had beaten in the KTV that night. Qin Haodong had driven him away. She didn't expect to meet him here again today. Qin Haodong also recognized the bald man, but he didn't care at all. He said lightly, "Don't be afraid. No one can hurt you with me here." Li Meiyu nodded and leaned closer to Qin Haodong. Only he could give her the greatest sense of security. At the same time, the other people in the room also became nervous. Although Zhang Lei and the others boasted that they were both gangsters, they were still students who had not stepped out of school. They were still a little nervous when they saw these real gangsters. Seeing the fiendish Baldy, these people all looked at Feng Bowie in unison, as if Feng Bowie was their leader. "Brother Bald, why are you here?" Feng Bowie didn't disappoint them. He immediately greeted the bald man as if he was very familiar with him. He did have dinner with his father, Feng Wanchen, and Brother Wolf, so he knew that the bald man was Wolf's number 1 fighter. Unexpectedly, the bald man didn't give him face at all. He pushed him aside and said rudely, "Don't try to get close to me. I don't know you." Feng Bowie suddenly felt embarrassed. He had no choice but to tell his father's name, "Brother Bald, my father is Feng Wanchen." However, the bald man still ignored him and shouted to everyone in the room, "Cut the crap. Brother Wolf wants to see you. Come with me." Then he turned around and walked out of the room, as if he was sure that these people would follow him. Hearing that the famous Brother Wolf wanted to see them, these people didn't know whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. They became more and more nervous. Gung Jun looked at Feng Bowie and whispered, "Mr. Feng, what should we do?" Feng Bowie forced himself to say, "Don't be afraid. I know Brother Wolf. It must be a good thing." After saying that, he followed the bald man out, and the others also followed behind him. As a game, Qin Haodong also wanted to see what the famous Brother Wolf looked like. He held Li Meiyu's hand and mingled with the crowd. Because the light in the KTV was not bright, the bald man did not notice them. VIP room number 1 had an area of about 100 square meters, so it didn't seem crowded even with Feng Bowie's group. When Feng Bowie arrived at the private room, he immediately saw the drunkard beside Wolf. He immediately knew that something was wrong. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect that the drunkard was actually one of Wolf's men. If he had known earlier, he would not have dared to make a move even if he was given 100 guts. "Brother Wolf, are you looking for me?" Feng Bowie bowed and forced a stiff smile on his face. San Lang pushed away the woman who was massaging his legs and stood up from the sofa. He walked up to Feng Bowie and the others and glanced at them coldly. Gung Jun, Zhang Lei and the others also saw the drunkard and realized that the situation was not good today. Under San Lang's gaze, they felt great pressure and could not help but tremble. Feng Bowie's forehead was covered with cold sweat. After half a minute, San Lang began to speak. "You little bastards, who gave you the courage to hit my cousin in my KTV? Do you want to die?" Feng Bowie bit the bullet and said, "This is all a misunderstanding. We didn't know that this big brother is your cousin. My father is Feng Wanchen. Please show some respect, Brother Wolf." San Lang said arrogantly, "Feng Wanchen? How dare a shabby restaurant owner ask for respect from me?" Feng Bowie saw that his father's name did not work, so he quickly said nervously, "Brother Wolf, this is really a misunderstanding. How much does this big brother need for medical fees? We'll pay for it." "Pay for it?" San Lang sneered, "Do I look like someone who lacks money? You've slapped my face today. No amount of money can buy that." He turned around and said to the drunkard, "Cousin, you can do whatever you want with these people today, as long as you don't kill them." "Thank you, cousin." After the drunkard said that, he walked up to Feng Bowie and the others and shouted arrogantly, "Little bastards, weren't you arrogant in front of me? Didn't you say that you can take advantage of both sides? Why don't you pretend now? I'm going to kill you today." Feng Bowie and the others were so nervous that they trembled. They did not know what vicious means the drunkard would use to deal with them. The fat man was obviously the kind of person who would take revenge. He pointed at them and shouted arrogantly, "Little bastards, how dare you hit me? Kneel down. Brother, let's talk this out. How much do you want to pay for it?" "We'll pay, okay?" In the end, Feng Bowie still couldn't let go of his pride. But before he finished speaking, he saw the drunkard pick up a bottle of red wine next to him and hit him hard on the head. With a muffled bang, bright red wine mixed with blood flowed down from his head. Then his body shook and he fell to the ground with a plop. Seeing that the drunkard was so ruthless, the others were suddenly afraid, and the female students even screamed shrilly. Plop! 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 Since the leader had been knocked down, the others no longer had the courage to fight. They all knelt on the ground one by one. In the blink of an eye, only Qin Haodong and Li Meiyu were left standing there hand in hand, which looked a little abrupt. Only then did the bald man notice the two people. His expression suddenly changed and he said to San Lang, "Brother, that guy is the one who beat me that night. I didn't expect that he would fall into our hands today. I must destroy this guy." The drunkard also said, "Cousin, I like that little girl. I must have sex with her tonight." The two of them kept their eyes on Qin Haodong and Li Meiyu as they spoke. No one noticed that San Lang's expression had changed greatly at this time. Pa! 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 San Lang raised his arm and slapped the two of them a few times. "Shut the F***ck up." Everyone was stunned. They didn't know why San Lang suddenly hit his own people. The bald man and the drunkard were both confused. They covered their cheeks that had been slapped and looked at San Lang in a daze. They didn't know what they had said wrong to make the boss so angry. After hitting the two people, San Lang trotted over to Qin Haodong. The arrogant appearance of the gangster boss had disappeared without a trace. He bowed and said, "Excuse me, are you Mr. Qin Haodong?" Qin Haodong was very surprised. He glanced at him and said, "Do you know me? I'm San Lang." "Greetings, Grand Boss." San Lang said and bowed deeply to Qin Haodong. It turned out that after Xiong Taijun of the biker gang and Yang Jinlong of the Sanjiang Society had been taught a lesson by Qin Haodong, they had quickly spread the news of him throughout the underground world of Shanghai. Everyone knew that there was a grand boss above King Ma, who was absolutely not to be provoked. In order to avoid provoking this grand boss, all the gangsters had a photo of Qin Haodong in their hands. Zhang Lang recognized Qin Haodong from the photo. At this time, the people in the private room were dumbfounded. No one had expected that Zhang Lang, who was like an emperor in their eyes, would bow to a young man. His attitude was extremely humble, as if he had put his face in his crotch. The bald man opened his mouth wide in surprise and couldn't close it for a long time. His eyeballs almost popped out of his eye sockets. Feng Bowie and the others were even more stunned and even forgot the pain under their knees. The scene in front of them was even more surprising than seeing dinosaurs on the street. What was going on? How could a bumpkin who was extremely despised by them become the grand boss of Zhang Lang? What was the grand boss? The boss of the boss. Qin Haodong immediately realized that it had something to do with Ma Wenjue when he heard the title of Zhang Lang. However, this was also good. He didn't need to do it himself, which saved a lot of trouble. Little wolf, right? Qin Haodong glanced at Feng Bowie and the others who were kneeling on the ground and said lightly, "You're quite powerful." Although he didn't like these people at all, after all, these people got into trouble because they stood up for Li Meiyu, so he helped them. Zhang Lang had been out there for so many years. People called him Brother Zhang Lang or Boss Zhang Lang. This was the first time he had been called Little Wolf. However, he didn't dare to show the slightest dissatisfaction. He quickly bowed and said, "Grand Boss, this is a misunderstanding." "It's definitely a misunderstanding." He turned his head and shouted to his men next to him, "What the hell are you doing? Hurry up and help Grand Boss's friends up." The hooligans hurried forward and helped Feng Bowie and the others up. After these people stood up, they looked at Qin Haodong together, their eyes full of gratitude. If the young man hadn't spoken up for them, the consequences would have been really unimaginable. They might have been disabled by Zhang Lang. Qin Haodong didn't pay attention to these people at all. He looked at the bald man and the drunk man and said to Zhang Lang, "Are they your men?" "Yes, they are my men. These two guys are blind and offended Grand Boss. I'll ask them to apologize to you now." Zhang Lang turned his head and shouted at the bald man and the drunk man, "What the hell are you still standing there for? Hurry up and kneel down and apologize to Grand Boss. If Grand Boss isn't satisfied, I'll disable you." The bald man and the drunkard trembled in fear and hurriedly knelt down on the ground. "Supreme Boss, we were blind and offended sister-in-law. You and sister-in-law, please forgive us and let us off this time." The two men knew that they had provoked a big shot this time. If they didn't come up with something, it would be difficult for them to get away with it. After that, they raised their hands and slapped their faces loudly. Qin Haodong turned his head to look at Li Meiyu and said, "How do you want to deal with these two people?" Li Meiyu looked at the two people kneeling in front of her. Although these two guys were very annoying, she felt comfortable from the bottom of her heart when they called her sister-in-law. "Forget it. That's it. Let them scram." Zhang Lang yelled, "Did you hear that? Sister-in-law asked you to get out." "Thank you, Grand Boss." "Thank you, sister-in-law." The two were grateful and thanked them again and again. They got up from the ground and ran out of the private room. "Grand Boss, we really deserve to die for offending you and sister-in-law today. Here's 1 million. Don't think it's too little. Please give it to you and sister-in-law to calm down." As Zhang Lang spoke, he handed a check of 1 million yuan to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong raised his hand to take it and put it in his pocket without looking at it. "Today's matter is over. Keep an eye on your men in the future." After that, he took Li Meiyu out of the private room. Seeing that they had finally passed today, Zhang Lang breathed a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, Grand Boss didn't pursue the matter. Otherwise, if King Ma knew that he had offended Grand Boss, he would directly break his bones and smash his KTV. He wouldn't be able to stand in the underworld in the future. In contrast, taking out 1 million yuan was simply a small amount of money. Chapter 523. Great Boss, where are you going? Do you want me to send you a car? Wolf followed Qin Haodong and said with a flattering face. No need. We'll walk by ourselves. Qin Haodong waved his hand and left the Wild Wolf KTV with Li Meiyu. Feng Bowie and the others also left the KTV. It seemed that Wolf had waived all the expenses tonight for Qin Haodong's sake. After going out, these people couldn't calm down for a long time as they looked at the backs of Qin Haodong and Li Meiyu. No one had expected that this inconspicuous young man had such a powerful background. Feng Bowie, in particular, felt a chill down his back and broke out in a cold sweat when he thought that he had dared to compete with Brother Wolf's great boss for a woman. Fortunately, Qin Haodong was magnanimous and didn't stoop to his level. From this moment on, he had listed Qin Haodong as a person who could never be provoked. Qin Haodong and Li Meiyu strolled on the street. Li Meiyu turned her head to look at him and asked, "What do you do? Are you a gangster?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Do you think so?" Li Meiyu shook her head and said, "I don't think so." "But why is Wolf so afraid of you?" "He's afraid of me because of a friend of mine. It has nothing to do with me." Qin Haodong didn't want to continue this topic and said, "Don't go out with others casually in the future. You saw how dangerous it was today. If I hadn't followed you, you would have been in big trouble." Li Meiyu didn't speak, but she knew very well that if Qin Haodong hadn't been there today, she would have been raped by Wolf. She couldn't count on Feng Bowie and the others. But she still said angrily, "Why didn't you pursue me?" Qin Haodong said helplessly, "We're still students. You have to give me some time. I've always been a slow person to warm up." Li Meiyu stopped, stared at Qin Haodong and said, "Are you sure you like me? You're so beautiful. Anyone would like you. Don't play dumb with me. I'm just asking if you like me." "Me too." "So do you like me?" Qin Haodong nodded. Li Meiyu said, "Then kiss me." "This. I don't think it's a good idea. There are so many people on the street watching." Li Meiyu stared at him and said, "No, you're lying to me if you don't kiss me." All right then." In order to complete the mission, he could only sacrifice his own body. He lowered his head and kissed Li Meiyu on the cheek. "Is it okay now?" "No, I'm talking about here." Li Meiyu pouted her red lips and said. Looking at the girl's serious look, if he didn't kiss her, she might make trouble. Qin Haodong could only lower his head and kiss her again. Originally, he just wanted to give her a light peck, but unexpectedly, Li Meiyu hugged his neck and they kissed each other tightly. After a long time, Li Meiyu let him go and said with a smile, "From now on, you are my boyfriend." Qin Haodong was speechless and said, "That counts. I haven't even started chasing her yet." Li Meiyu smiled and said, "There's no need. I've already agreed." Qin Haodong could only pray that the task would end soon. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if it continued like this. The next day, Qin Haodong continued to go to school with the beauties. As soon as he sat down in his seat, Ji Fubao came over mysteriously and said, "Boss, let me show you something good." "What is it?" Qin Haodong asked. Ji Fubao took out a piece of A4 paper from his pocket and handed it to him. "This is the latest list of the top 10 campus belles on our school forum. Sister-in-law is on the list. The top 10 campus belles. Interesting." When Qin Haodong was studying at Jiangnan Medical College, the school had also selected the campus belles. However, at that time, he was just a nobody. The distance between him and the campus belles was too big, so he could only look at them from a distance. Then, he took the A4 paper from Ji Fubao's hand and stared at it. He had thought that Nailan Wushuang and Qi Wan would definitely be at the top of the list with their outstanding appearances. He didn't expect that the first place was not their names, but a girl named Feng Wu. She was also studying Chinese medicine, but she was in her second year of college. Then, he looked down and found that the second place was another strange name, Li Jiumei. The third place was Nailan Wushuang, followed by Qi Wan, Li Meiyu, and Su Hui. A total of the top 10 campus belles were selected, and their Chinese medicine class occupied 4 of them. He had lost interest in the remaining 4 people. He looked back at the 2 names in front of him. What kind of girl could be more beautiful than Qi Wan, and Nailan Wushuang? This made him a little curious. Ji Fubao said, "Boss, in fact, you don't have to care too much. In fact, the beauty of the top few beauties is not much different. The ranking has a lot to do with personal preferences. Although sister-in-law is ranked 5th, she is not much different from the first place." Qin Haodong agreed with this point very much. Plums, orchids, bamboo, and chrysanthemums each had their own strengths, and everyone's preferences were different. For example, yesterday, Feng Boyi pursued Li Meiyu, who was ranked 5th, instead of Nailan Wushuang, who was ranked 3rd. He looked at Ji Fubao and said, "Have you seen Feng Wu?" Ji Fubao shook his head. "No." Then he said, "Boss, don't think about the beauties in other classes now. It's good that you can keep an eye on our class. Think about it, our class has 4 of the top 10 beauties, and all of them are at the top. The horny students of the other classes are all eyeing our 4 beauties, so we have to protect them." Qin Haodong smiled. He didn't care about this. He was very confident in Nailan Wushuang and Qi Wan, As for Li Meiyu and Su Hui, it was very difficult to pursue these 2 girls. "What are you 2 whispering about?" At this moment, Li Meiyu, who was sitting in front of them, turned around and grabbed the A4 paper in Qin Haodong's hand. When she saw the content, she exclaimed, "The list of campus belles, you are really boring." Then her face became gloomy again. She didn't expect that she, the number 1 beauty in Hong Kong's upper class, was only ranked 5th in the Shanghai Medical College. This made her proud heart hurt. Nailan Wushuang and Qi Wan, were sitting next to her. From the bottom of her heart, she was quite convinced by the appearance of these 2 girls. At least, they were on par with her. But why were the other 2 women ranked 1st and 2nd? Were they really so beautiful? Hearing her shout, several other girls also gathered around. Qi Wan, saw the content of the paper and cried, "You men are really boring. Why do you rank us? Why don't you rank yourselves? Men are also ranked." Ji Fubao took out another piece of A4 paper from his pocket. "Do you want to see the 4 Prince Charming of Shanghai Medical College?" Before he finished showing off, the A4 paper in his hand was already in Qi Wan's hand. There were 4 men's names written on it. Zheng Hongda ranked 1st, Zhou Tao ranked 2nd, Sun Jin ranked 3rd, and Qin Haodong ranked 4th. Seeing that her sweetheart was only ranked 4th, she suddenly became unhappy and said discontentedly, "Who ranked this? Are they blind? Why is Haodong ranked last? He is obviously the most handsome." Her words resonated with several other girls. It didn't matter if they were ranked last, but they couldn't rank Qin Haodong 4th. "Fatty, tell me, why is Haodong ranked 4th? Qi Wan, cried. "That's right. Brother Haodong should be ranked 1st. Even Su Hui, who was indifferent to fame and fortune, couldn't help but feel indignant for Qin Haodong. "Beauties, I didn't rank this. You can't argue with me. If I were to rank, the boss would definitely be 1st. Facing the attacks of the 4 beauties, Ji Fubao had a bitter expression on his face. In fact, the ranking of the Prince Charming is not only based on individuals. There are also many factors mixed in. The top 3 people are the children of the 3 great families in Shanghai, while the boss doesn't have much background. It's not easy for him to rank 4th. All right, don't quarrel. Class is about to start. Qin Haodong hurriedly comforted the girls. As Emperor Greenwood, who dominated the cultivation world and the dream lover of countless fairies and saintesses, how could he care about the name of the Prince Charming? This matter was over, but the 2 lists that Ji Fubao took out quickly spread throughout the class. Everyone knew the ranking of the top 10 campus belles and the ranking of the 4 campus Prince Charming. At noon, everyone still went to the cafeteria to eat together. As soon as they walked to the place where Feng Bowie had appeared yesterday, they were surprised to see 2 large groups of roses lined up in the middle of the road. There were about 1,000 roses. The red roses were arranged in the shape of 2 hearts, and the word Wushuang was written in the middle of the hearts with yellow roses. In front of the roses stood a handsome young man. What was different was that he was not wearing a suit and leather shoes, but a traditional Wuxia martial arts suit. Shanghai Medical College was a very open university. After entering the university, everyone was an adult, so the school did not restrict things like love. They even showed extreme tolerance. Because of this, many men and women had gathered around to watch the fun. This is Zhou Tao, one of the 4 Prince Charming on campus. What is he doing here? Is he going to confess to a girl? Wow, it's so creative. If he pursued me, I would marry him immediately and give birth to a lot of monkeys for him. Didn't you see the word Wushuang written in the middle of the roses? He is the Prince Charming of our school, the young master of the Zhou family. How could he like you? Young Master Zhou is the top student in the school and the president of the martial arts club. Why is such a talented person not pursuing me? My heart is going to break. Qi Weiner's eyes were sharp. She saw the 2 words on the roses from a distance. She held Nailan Wushuang's arm and said with a smile, Sister Wushuang, this seems to be your pursuer. He made so many flowers. It seems that he is very attentive. Do you want to think about it? Nailan Wushuang rolled her eyes at her and said, think about what? Think about whether to give you away or not. Qi Weiner said with a smile, he is pursuing you. He won't accept me even if he gives me away. Nailan Wushuang grabbed her under the arm, then bypassed the roses and continued to walk forward. Wushuang, wait a minute. Don't go. Zhou Tao had also seen Nailan Wushuang. He hurried to her and opened his arms to block her way. Nailan Wushuang frowned and said in a cold voice, who are you? What can I do for you? Zhou Tao's eyes were burning and he said solemnly, Nailan Wushuang, my name is Zhou Tao. I was fascinated by you the first time I saw you. You are the goddess in my heart. I carefully prepared these flowers for you. Can you give me a chance to pursue you? Chapter 524. Zhou Tao was tall, sunny and handsome. Otherwise, he would not have been named one of the 4 Prince Charming of the campus. Coupled with his prominent family background, he was a great attraction to girls. After hearing his confession, the crowd immediately quieted down. They all wanted to see how Nailan Wushuang would react. I guess she will agree. Although Nailan Wushuang is also one of the campus belles, Zhou Tao is also the Prince Charming of the school. They are a perfect match, agree quickly. What an affectionate confession. Such a romantic rose. If it were me, I would definitely agree, my goddess, don't agree. Leave us single dogs a little hope, no. Under the attention of the crowd, Nailan Wushuang refused Zhou Tao without hesitation and then took Qi Wan, to the canteen. Wait a minute. Zhou Tao stopped in front of Nailan Wushuang again and said, why did you refuse me? Can you give me a reason? Did I do something wrong? Or am I not good enough? Sorry, I already have a boyfriend. Impossible. I've already learned that you are single and have no boyfriend. It seemed that Zhou Tao had really put a lot of effort into Nailan Wushuang and had a certain understanding of her relevant information. Seeing that this fellow refused to let go, more and more people began to gather around him. Nailan Wushuang pulled Qin Haodong back and said, "See, he is my boyfriend." "Impossible, Wushuang, you can refuse to accept me, but you can't just find someone to cheat me." Zhou Tao didn't believe it at all. But just as he was talking, Nailan Wushuang hugged Qin Haodong and kissed him. She turned back and said, "How is it? Did you reply?" Zhou Tao had made countless assumptions before, including whether Nailan Wushuang accepted him or not, but he never thought that such a scene would occur. His goddess should kiss someone in public. The people around were also stunned. No one expected that Nailan Wushuang, who had always been low-key, would be so hot. Li Meiyu was stunned on the spot. What the hell was going on? Qi Wan whispered in her ear, "Don't mind it too much. Sister Wushuang just borrowed him for a while." Li Meiyu was stunned. How could she borrow him like this? Qin Haodong wiped his mouth and looked innocently at the hostile eyes around him. "I didn't do anything. Why are you looking at me like this?" Zhou Tao came to his senses and a burst of anger hit his head. He took 2 steps forward to Qin Haodong and said angrily, "Boy, you insulted my goddess. I want to duel with you." Since the first time he saw Nailan Wushuang, he was shocked. After careful planning, he officially began to confess his love today, but he did not expect this result. He couldn't get angry at the goddess in his heart, so he could only vent his anger on Qin Haodong. Seeing Zhou Tao openly issuing a challenge, the surroundings suddenly became noisy. This guy even. He dared to challenge of Wushuang. Wushuang's will. I've seen young Master Zhou in action. That's really high-end, imposing, and unbelievably powerful. It seems that not everyone can get a girl, especially this kind of top-grade campus belle. His life may be in danger. Qin Haodong looked at Zhou Tao. This guy was a warrior and had the cultivation of the 8th level of overt power. He should be one of the best on campus, but he was still far away from Qin Haodong. He was not even qualified to challenge him. "Sorry, I'm not interested." After that, he turned his head and walked to the canteen. Feeling the contempt in Qin Haodong's eyes, Zhou Tao roared, "Boy, you have to do it. Watch my move." After that, he reached out to grab Qin Haodong's shoulder. Qin Haodong really didn't intend to fight. He didn't look back. With a slight shake of his shoulder, he slid Zhou Tao's hand away. Zhou Tao was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that Qin Haodong was also a martial artist, which made him even more unwilling to give up. After a loud shout, he raised his hand and patted Qin Haodong's back. Qin Haodong frowned. Is this guy done? He turned sideways and reached out to grab Zhou Tao's arm. With a pull and a push, Zhou Tao's tall body suddenly flew out. That was not the most important thing. The most tragic thing was that when Zhou Tao fell, he happened to fall on the roses he had carefully prepared. As soon as his body fell, he jumped up with a scream. His body was covered with thorns of the roses. A sneer appeared at the corner of Qin Haodong's mouth. He took Nailan Wushuang and the others straight to the canteen. "Boy, wait and see. It's not over." Zhou Tao shouted and gritted his teeth in pain. He turned around and ran in the direction of the hospital. Although he was not seriously injured, the thorns of the roses were really unbearable for him. In the canteen, Ji Fubao put the food in front of Qin Haodong and said with a smile, "Boss, your move just now was so cool. Even the president of the martial arts club was no match for you. Let's see who dares to come to our Chinese medicine class to pick up girls in the future." Seeing that her sweetheart had been used by Nailan Wushuang, Li Meiyu was now angry. She glared at Ji Fubao and said, "What does it have to do with you? Which girl is yours? Seeing that the situation was not right, Ji Fubao quickly shut up. In order to ease the embarrassment of the fat brother, Tian Boguang said, "Boss, I heard that Zhou Tao is not an ordinary person. I guess this matter is not over. He will make trouble for you." Li Meiyu said, "Isn't he the young master of the Zhou family? What's the big deal?" Tian Boguang said, "Although Zhou Tao is the young master of the Zhou family, he has never used the power of the Zhou family. I heard that his master is very powerful. He is one of the best masters in Shanghai." Ji Fubao said, "No matter how powerful he is, what can he do? I guess he is no match for you." He now had a kind of blind worship for Qin Haodong. Even if someone told him that Qin Haodong was the best master in the world, he would not doubt it. "Well, let's eat." Qin Haodong did not take this little thing to heart. Zhou Tao's cultivation was at the 8th level of the overt power, and his master was at most a master of the covert power. After dinner, everyone went back to the classroom to continue the class. The bell of the last class rang, and the day's class was over. Qin Haodong and the others were about to go out, but they found Zhou Tao at the door of the classroom. This guy had just pulled out the rose thorns on his body and applied the purple potion. He looked white and purple, which was very funny. He looked at Qin Haodong with a gloomy expression and said, "Boy, my master asked you to meet him at the back mountain of the school. Do you dare to go?" Qin Haodong smiled slightly. It was true that the master came after he beat the disciple. However, since the other party came openly, he had to accept it. "Okay, lead the way." He asked Nailan Wushuang and Qi Wan to take Li Meiyu home first. The three girls knew his skills, so they were not worried. They left the Shanghai Medical College together. Qin Haodong followed Zhou Tao and walked to the back mountain of the school. The area of Shanghai Medical College was very large. Behind it was a towering mountain with a nice name called Gentleman's Mountain. It was said that it was the highest point of Shanghai City. Half of the scenery of Shanghai City could be seen from here. They came to the top of the mountain. There was an open space here. Because of its high position, there was no one around. It was quiet. A tall figure in black was standing on the top of the mountain with his hands behind his back. He seemed to be enjoying the scenery in the distance. Seeing this person in Qin Haodong, his heart slightly moved. He originally thought that Zhou Tao's master was at most a master of covert power. He didn't expect that he had reached the realm of supreme power. Zhou Tao trotted all the way to the back of the man and said respectfully, "Master, I've brought him here." After that, he turned around and said, "Boy, you bully me because of your skills, don't you? Now let's see how arrogant you are. No matter how powerful you are, can you be more powerful than my master?" This guy had been taught a lesson by Qin Haodong and was covered with rose thorns. His heart was full of anger. Now he had found his master and was determined to teach the guy in front of him a lesson. "Young man, my disciple can't beat you because he is not skilled enough. But it's wrong for you to make him have rose thorns all over his body. Isn't this a humiliation?" Zhou Tao's master turned around as he spoke. When he saw Qin Haodong's appearance, he was suddenly stunned and couldn't say a word. "Master, you must uphold justice for me. Teach this brat a good lesson." Zhou Tao didn't notice the change in his master's expression. He was slapped on the back of the head by the man before he finished speaking. Then he came to Qin Haodong with his neck in his hand. "Little bastard, kneel down and call me master." Zhou Tao was dumbfounded. What happened to my master? Even if he couldn't beat Qin Haodong, he shouldn't be scared like this, right? "Master, just as he was about to ask, he saw his master bow to Qin Haodong deeply. "Disciple Lei Bao greets you, master." It turned out that Zhou Tao's master was Lei Bao, who had wanted to be Qin Haodong's disciple. At that time, Qin Haodong helped him break through the threshold of the supreme power realm, but he didn't accept him as a disciple. However, Lei Bao had always treated Qin Haodong as a disciple and was extremely respectful. Today, he was dragged to Gentleman Mountain by Zhou Tao. Originally, he wanted to support his disciple and shock the younger generation, but he didn't expect to meet Qin Haodong. "Master, I didn't expect this little bastard to offend you." After saying that, Lei Bao waved his hand and slapped the back of Zhou Tao's head again. "Hurry up and kneel down to apologize to the master. If the master doesn't forgive you, then keep kneeling." Zhou Tao almost choked to death by his own saliva. He had spent a lot of effort to persuade his master to support him, but he didn't expect that he would be called a master. However, he also knew that his master's temper had always been firm. He could only bite the bullet and kneel on the ground. He gritted his teeth and said, "Mas. Mas. Mas. Grand Master, I'm sorry. I offended you. Forget it, I didn't accept you as my master, so I'm not your master." Qin Haodong said as he waved his hand gently, and an invisible force lifted Zhou Tao from the ground. Although Zhou Tao apologized, he was completely under the pressure of Lei Bao, so he was originally extremely unconvinced. Seeing Qin Haodong's skill, he was extremely shocked. Releasing genuine qi and turning it invisible into tangible was the ability of a supreme power master. He looked younger than him, but he had already become a supreme power master. How did he do that? In the past, his master often said that he was not qualified in martial arts, and he was very unconvinced. But after seeing Qin Haodong's cultivation, he completely knew what talent was. They were about the same age. He had just reached the 8th level of overt power, but Qin Haodong was already a master at the supreme power realm. The gap was so big that he couldn't raise his head. Lei Bao said to him, "Little bastard, you even dare to offend the master. If it happens again, I will break your legs immediately. And remember, when you see the master in the future, you must be respectful, do you hear me?" Chapter 525. "Got it, Master." Zhou Tao replied respectfully. He was convinced this time. In terms of cultivation level, it was not shameful to call a supreme power master his master. Lei Bao nodded and turned to Qin Haodong and said, "Master, you've come to Shanghai. Let me treat you to a drink to show my sincerity and do my best as a host. It can also be regarded as an apology for my lack of discipline. Well, let's have a drink together." Qin Haodong was not disgusted with Lei Bao's straightforward character, so he agreed directly. The three of them left Gentleman Mountain together and appeared in a Chuanwei hotel half an hour later. After Qin Haodong and Lei Bao sat down, Zhou Tao had been busy next to them with a respectful expression. Soon, the wine and dishes were served. After a few drinks, Qin Haodong looked at Zhou Tao and said, "Lei Bao, is Zhou Tao your personal disciple? Why is his cultivation so low?" Hearing this, Zhou Tao said with shame, "It's not your fault, master. My aptitude is too stupid. Normally, the disciple of a supreme power master should reach the level of internal strength, but Zhou Tao was only at the 8th level of overt power, which was really unreasonable." Lei Bao said, "He is indeed my personal disciple, but his aptitude is too ordinary. Normally, he is not suitable for practicing martial arts. However, this child has been obsessed with martial arts since he was a child. His father and I are friends, so I reluctantly accepted him as my disciple. After studying for more than 10 years, he has not made much progress. Now he is the personal disciple with the lowest cultivation in my martial arts club." After a pause, he said, "Zhou Tao's character is good. He is down to earth, not impetuous, and loyal. Although he is from an aristocratic family, he does not have the air of a playboy. That's why I came here today to support him. I didn't expect to meet you, master." Qin Haodong nodded and said to Zhou Tao, "You are from the Zhou family. What's your relationship with Zhou Xinju?" Zhou Tao said, "Master, she is my sister." Oh, don't call me master in the future. It sounds awkward. After all, he had been Zhou Xinju's boyfriend in name, and their relationship was also good. If her brother called him master, he would be taking advantage of him. Lei Bao said, "How can I do that? We people who practice martial arts can't ignore etiquette." Qin Haodong said, "Forget it. His sister and I are friends. It's a bit confusing to call him that. How about this, you can call me boss from now on. Just treat it as etiquette." The word boss could be big or small, it was also a form of respect. Lei Bao did not say anything more. "Got it, boss." Zhou Tao agreed. Although he was mediocre in martial arts, he was very quick-witted. He immediately realized that the relationship between Qin Haodong and Zhou Xinju was not ordinary. He said with a smile, "Boss, are you pursuing my sister?" "Nonsense. Your sister and I are just ordinary friends. Don't talk nonsense. Boss, if you want to pursue my sister, I'll raise both my hands in agreement. I can also help you." Zhou Tao admired Qin Haodong to the extreme, and he had his own ideas. If he had a supreme power master as his brother-in-law, it would definitely be a very cool thing. Qin Haodong was speechless. How could someone take the initiative to be his brother-in-law? Lei Bao glared, "You're getting more and more out of hand, no respect for your elders." Soon, the three of them changed the topic, but after such a scene, the atmosphere became much more easygoing. Qin Haodong wanted to know the strength of the three great families from Lei Bao, so he asked, "With your cultivation, what level are you in Shanghai?" Lei Bao said, "I used to be a little bit weaker. Since my teacher helped me break through the supreme power realm bottleneck, I can be regarded as a top master now." Qin Haodong said, "What about the three great families? There should be a lot of hidden masters in their families, right?" Lei Bao said, "There are naturally many masters in the aristocratic families, but supreme power realm masters are also rare. Among the three great families, the Sun family's martial arts strength is the strongest. They have 3 supreme power realm masters, and the strongest one is at the second level of the supreme power realm. The Zhou family and the Zheng family only have 2 supreme power realm masters. Of course, this is just the strength on the surface. I don't know the specific situation." Zhou Tao said, "Our Zhou family does have 2 supreme power realm masters, but they are very powerful. They only listen to my grandfather's orders. They don't even agree to teach me some martial arts." Obviously, this guy was not satisfied with his family's realm masters. Lei Bao scolded, "How can you blame others for this? Any supreme power realm master is a strong man, and they choose their disciples carefully. You are not good enough, so how can you blame others? If your aptitude can reach 1/10 of the teachers, I'm afraid that those who want to accept you as their disciple will trample on the threshold of the Zhou family." Zhou Tao curled his lips and said helplessly, "How can you blame me? I can only blame my father for not giving me such good genes." After the meal, Lei Bao left with Zhou Tao, and Qin Haodong also returned home. After entering the door, several girls sat in the living room watching TV as usual. Seeing him come back, Nailan Wushuang asked, "How's the matter?" Qi Wan then asked, "How is that guy's master? Is he powerful?" Qin Haodong said, "It's nothing. The matter has been completely solved. His master happens to be an acquaintance of mine. In the future, Zhou Tao will not trouble you anymore." Qi Wan said with a smile, "That means that no one will pursue Sister Wushuang in the future. It's boring." Nailan Wushuang glared at her and said, "You stinky girl, there are dozens of people chasing after you every day. It's not interesting." The next day, they went to school as usual. After sitting in their seats, Ji Fubao immediately came over and said, "Boss, big news, big news." "What happened?" Qin Haodong asked. "There have been new changes on the campus Prince Charming list. After you defeated Zhou Tao yesterday, you jumped to the third place, and Zhou Tao became the fourth place at the bottom. You're telling me this early in the morning? Is this also big news? Of course, isn't it big enough? Ji Fubao smiled mysteriously and suddenly took a large stack of letters from behind. Boss, look, this is the charm of a Prince Charming. Qin Haodong said in surprise, what are these? Love letters. Ji Fubao said excitedly, since your ranking rose to the third place, your popularity has been even higher than the first two. Since yesterday, many girls have sent love letters to our dormitory. Tian Buguang and I read them all night. I'm really envious. As he spoke, he handed the letters to Qin Haodong. Boss, take a look. There are many girls who say that they are willing to have babies with you. Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, throw them into the trash can. Now the 4 girls in the class had already made him anxious. How could he be in the mood to read other people's love letters? Boss is indeed boss. He's actually so calm and collected, throwing away so many love letters with a wave of his hand without a trace of regret. When can I have 1/10 of boss's elegance? At this time, Tian Buguang also came over and said, just throw them away. Don't talk so much nonsense. Boss, there are so many top campus belles to pursue. How can you care about those vulgar girls? Go. Go to class. Qin Haodong waved his hand and drove away the 2 coquettish guys. After a whole morning of classes, it was soon time for lunch. They walked out of the classroom together. Ji Fubao said as he walked, Boss, I bet 5 yuan that today's lunch will definitely not be peaceful. There will be some guys who don't know their limits jumping out to pursue our campus belles. Tian Buguang said, I think so too. I don't know how many animals are drooling around our class now. Ji Fubao said, but boss is here. It's useless even if they are dehydrated. Qin Haodong said, okay, don't jinx it. Don't you think there's enough trouble? He was really a little annoyed after the past 2 days. Although these people were all small fries who couldn't cause any trouble, it was still very troublesome. Therefore, he hoped that he could have a quiet lunch today. However, things didn't go as he wished. At the same time, in the same place, there were already many people gathered on the way to the cafeteria. Ji Fubao sighed and said, Boss, the tree wants to be quiet, but the wind will not stop. It seems that you have to get into trouble even if you don't want to. Tian Buguang said, Femme fatale. Boss, you dominate the 4 campus belles by yourself. A master will not be lonely. You are destined not to be lonely in this life. Although the 2 of them were talking nonsense, Qin Haodong knew that trouble had come after all, and it was bigger than before. Not far in front of them, 4 young men stood there. They were wearing snow-white taekwondo uniforms and holding a long banner in their hands. The names of Nailan Wushuang, Qi Wan, Li Meiyu, and Su Hui were all written on the banner. Under the banner, a young man in the lead said to the onlookers, Students, my name is Kim Yanquan. I'm a student from Koryo who came to Wuxia. I'm also the president of the Taekwondo club of our Shanghai Medical College. The 3 people next to me are the vice president, and Qishuan, Piao Zaixiang, and Li Shanzhen. They are all like me. Outstanding people naturally choose outstanding girls. So today, I want to announce one thing to everyone. The 4 girls on the banner, the 4 female students of the Chinese medicine class, belong to our Taekwondo club from now on. None of you are allowed to pursue them. There is an old saying in Wuxia that we should say the ugly things first. Now I have officially notified you. If anyone else pursues them, then don't blame us for being rude. As soon as he finished speaking, Ji Fubao scolded angrily, these guys are really bad. How dare they be so arrogant in our Wuxia? Tian Buguang said, they are really used to being arrogant. Who do they think they are? God, why do they say that the female students in our class belong to them? Dai Hongbing, who had been silent all the time, also spoke. These guys are really annoying. They are all robbing dead people from our huaxiao. They said that Chu Yuan, Li Shizhen, and Confucius are all theirs. Now they even want to rob the living ones. Are they crazy? Li Meiyu also scolded, I hate Koreans the most in my life. Even if all the men in the world are dead, I won't even look at them. They were extremely indignant, and so were the other students. Why? You arrogant guys, hurry up and get out of Huaxiao. Get out of here. Our Shanghai Medical College doesn't welcome you. Hurry up and get back to Koryo. What right do you have to control our female students from Huaxiao? You're really shameless. Kim Yanquan seemed to have been prepared for this result. He smiled disdainfully, raised his voice and said, I know that you Huaxia people are not convinced, but whoever has the bigger fist is the truth. After school today, our Taekwondo dojo will be open to everyone. Those who are not convinced can come and challenge us. As long as you can defeat our Taekwondo, then what I said just now will naturally be **t. If you can't, then step aside obediently. Chapter 526. Ji Fubao gritted his teeth and said, arrogant, too arrogant. Boss, you must teach these arrogant guys a lesson. Tian Buguang said, this is equivalent to issuing a challenge to all the men in our school. I really don't know where these guys get their courage from. Li Meiyu said angrily, Qin Haodong, you must teach these guys a lesson. Otherwise, don't call yourself a man in the future. Qin Haodong smiled. These guys still had a little arrogance. Ji Ningquan had reached the 9th level of overt power, while the other 3 were all at the 8th level of overt power. This kind of cultivation was not worth mentioning in the martial arts world of Huaxia, but he was already a master in the university campus. Facing the boiling people around him, Ji Ningquan said disdainfully again, cowardly Huaxia people, I have already issued a challenge. If you have the ability, come to the Taekwondo club. After that, he was about to leave with the other 3 people. At this time, a tall and strong male student rushed up and said, there's no need to wait for the afternoon. I'll teach you guys a lesson now. After that, the male student waved his huge fist and smashed it hard at Ji Ningquan's face. However, he was just a little stronger. He had never practiced martial arts at all. How could he be a match for Ji Ningquan and the others? You're overestimating yourself. Ji Ningquan gently raised his leg and kicked the male student in the lower abdomen with a beautiful forward kick, directly kicking him out. Fortunately, this person was lucky. The direction in which he flew happened to be Qin Haodong's side. Qin Haodong reached out and picked up the male student. At the same time, he used Greenwood genuine qi to help him unblock the injured meridians. It had to be said that Ji Ningquan's performance was very beautiful. He shocked the excited people. Although they were angry, they were all ordinary students. In terms of combat effectiveness, they were too weak. Ji Ningquan looked around and said, Huaxia people, let me tell you, this is a fight. It's shameful. If you have the ability, come to the Taekwondo club to challenge us. After that, he left arrogantly with the other 3 people. Li Meiyu said to Qin Haodong angrily, these guys are so arrogant. Why don't you teach them a lesson? Qin Haodong said with a smile, they have already drawn a line. There is no need for us to fight here, or we will be looked down upon. Let's go to the Taekwondo club after school. Li Meiyu's anger subsided a little. You must teach these Koreans a lesson. How dare they treat us as their personal property? Yeah, these people are too much. What do they take us for? Even Su Hui, who had always been indifferent, was enraged by the shameless behavior of Ji Ningquan and the others. Qin Haodong said, don't worry. They're just a few arrogant guys. They can't do anything. Qi Wan said, I'm just wondering why they chose the 4 of us. There are two beauties above Sister Wuxuang. Why didn't they choose them? Do these people think that us sisters are more beautiful? Hearing this, Li Meiyu immediately extinguished her anger and said, I guess it must be so. Why are we ranked last? I don't believe those two women are as beautiful as the heavens. Qin Haodong was speechless. This woman's way of thinking was really different. At this time, she actually thought of comparing beauty. They walked into the cafeteria to eat. However, the storm just started, and then it became more and more intense. All the men in the school knew about the challenge issued by Jin Yingquan and the others. When the bell rang for the last class in the afternoon, many people rushed to the Taekwondo club. This club was very large. It was used for the school's Taekwondo classes. Occasionally, related competitions would be held. There were nearly 1,000 seats around, which could accommodate 1,000 spectators. It was already a large venue in the school. When Qin Haodong and the others arrived, the venue was already full of people. The auditorium was full and there were no empty seats. In the middle of the arena, two people were fighting. One was wearing a snow-white Taekwondo suit, and the other was wearing a golden traditional Wuxia martial arts suit. The one wearing the Taekwondo suit was Li Shanzhen, the vice president of the Taekwondo club, and the other was a student of the Wuxia martial arts club. Li Shanzhen had reached the level of 8 points of overt power, while the student of the martial arts club could barely reach the third level of overt power. The gap between the two was obvious. After a few moves, the student of the martial arts club was kicked out of the arena by Li Shanzhen. After winning, he did not immediately withdraw his right leg. Instead, he made a dazzling pose on the stage, and then slowly withdrew his leg. He looked at the audience with a proud face and said, if you are only at this level, don't come up and make a fool of yourself. The so-called Wuxia martial arts are no match for our Taekwondo at all. President, these guys are too arrogant. Let me go up, President, I'll fight with these guys today. Some students in golden martial arts suits gathered around Zhou Tao, the president of the martial arts club. Zhou Tao looked dignified. So far, their martial arts club had lost 6 games in a row. These guys were unexpectedly powerful. Lao San, you go up and have a try. He raised his hand and pointed to a student of the martial arts club. This person's cultivation was obviously higher than others. He had reached the 5th level of overt power. Lao San agreed, turned around and jumped into the arena. On the Taekwondo club side, Li Shanzhen still accepted the challenge. Soon, the two of them began to fight. Li Shanzhen's figure flashed and appeared in front of Lao San. Before Lao San could react, he had been punched in the chest and flew out of the arena. They are no match for them at all. Qin Haodong shook his head. Originally, he had hoped that someone on the campus could defeat these 3 guys, so that he would have less trouble. Now it seemed impossible. Although these students of the martial arts club also had some martial arts foundation, they were far from Qin Haodong's level. Moreover, judging from Li Shanzhen's performance, his moves were skillful and ruthless. He had rich combat experience. Even Zhou Tao, who was at the same level as him, would not be a match for him, let alone Kim Yangquan, who was at the 9th level of overt power. In a word, the strength of the two sides was not at the same level at all. Except for the members of the martial arts club, the others were even worse. They didn't even have any martial arts foundation. Ji Fubao said, "Boss, make your move. Otherwise, it will be a great blow to our morale." After Lao San was knocked out of the arena, the originally noisy clubhouse became solemn. This was the 7th defeat of the Wuxia side, which had indeed caused a great psychological blow to these students. Let's go and have a look. Knowing that these people were no match for him, Qin Haodong took his people to Zhou Tao. But before he took a few steps, a figure suddenly stood in front of him. It was a female student in her 20s. When Qin Haodong saw her, two words immediately popped up in his mind. Sexy. That's right, sexy. Among the girls he knew, there was no lack of good-looking girls with good figures, but there was no one who could reach this level of sexiness. Hu Xiaoxian was charming and enchanting, but in terms of sexiness, she was still a little worse than the girl in front of him. The woman in front of him had a towering chest that reached an exaggerated 36D, and her waist was fat. The most important thing was that she exuded a kind of sexiness from her bones, with a different kind of exotic charm. What can I do for you? Qin Haodong asked. You're Qin Haodong, right? I'm here for you. The woman's voice was very pleasant to listen to, and there was a hint of sexiness in her flirtatious voice. Who are you? Do I know you? The woman said, this is the first time we've met, but you should have heard of my name, Li Jiumei. Ji Fubao swallowed and said, you're the second sexy campus belle. You really deserve your reputation. When Li Meiyu heard that this was the second campus belle above her, she couldn't help curling her lips and whispering, Fox. Her voice was not loud, but it was still heard by Li Jiumei. Little sister, you're right. I'm a fox, and I'm very good at seducing men. Keep an eye on your man, or he will be seduced by me. Li Meiyu said angrily, you are shameless. Why should I be shameless? I want a man. Li Jiumei said, the handsome guy in front of me is not bad. I like him very much. Tell me, what can I do for you? Qin Haodong had already seen that Li Jiumei was not simple. Although she looked extremely sexy and her words were coquettish, it was all an illusion. In fact, this woman was still a virgin. What's more, her cultivation had reached the first level of covert power. She was a real warrior. Li Jiumei turned around, looked at Qin Haodong and said, I want to ask you for a favor. Tell me about it. Li Jiumei glanced at Jin Yingquan and said resentfully, after you deal with these arrogant and ignorant guys, help me ask them why they didn't choose me. I'm the second campus belle, second only to Feng Wu. Am I not beautiful? As she spoke, she also puffed out her chest at Qin Haodong, showing her beautiful figure. Qin Haodong looked helpless. Women really looked at things from a different perspective. Are you sure I can beat those guys? You've seen it. They are very powerful. Li Jiumei said coquettishly, I have a feeling that you are more powerful. Then she winked at Qin Haodong again. As long as you help me with this, I can consider going on a date with you. After that, she turned around and left, leaving a string of silver bell-like laughter. Bitch. Shameless. Li Meiyu spat at her back and turned back to Qin Haodong and said, I tell you, you can't help this bitch. You are not allowed to date her. Qi Weiner said, I think it's a good idea. You should ask those guys. Maybe it's because they think we are more beautiful than those two. In that case, you are allowed to ask them, but you are not allowed to date that bitch. Li Meiyu felt that what Qi Weiner said made sense, so she quickly changed her position. Qin Haodong shook his head and stepped toward Zhou Tao. Zhou Tao's face was gloomy. He had lost 7 games in a row. He was considering whether he should fight in person, but then he saw Qin Haodong coming over. Boss, you're here. Under many surprised eyes, Zhou Tao immediately greeted him and bowed to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong nodded and said, why do you want to fight with those guys? These guys dared to hit on your woman. It's obviously disrespectful to you. Of course, I have to teach them a lesson. Speaking of this, Zhou Tao's face showed a trace of embarrassment. It's a pity that we haven't won a single game. We've lost 7 games in a row. We've embarrassed you. Qin Haodong was very satisfied with Zhou Tao's attitude. He said, don't worry. It's not over yet. We'll win it back. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.